greatest prize in sport, to become world champion. Today, the World Cup starts in Great Britain. This week, 12 countries will compete for the right to call themselves world champions. "12 countries, one trophy, 1 week to decide the Speedway World Cup."
And they're still queuing to see the opening round of the Speedway World Cup here in Sheffield. Tonight, Team Great Britain take on the defending champions Australia, along with Germany and the Czech Republic. Sky Sports will be live with every race at every round. Welcome to the Owlerton Stadium. 12 nations compete on 4 different tracks this week for the prestigious Ovi Funding Trophy and the title Speedway World Cup champions. There's an electrifying atmosphere trackside. Not in its 73-year history has the Owlerton Stadium witnessed anything like the Speedway World Cup. Welcome to the studio here at trackside. Joining me as ever in the Sky Sports studio are Sam Ermolenko and Chris Lewin. I think, gentlemen, we're looking forward to a great night here, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the rain will stay off. Sam?
Well, it is a great event, that's for sure. I mean, last year, the first one we had in Poland really brings all the riders together, especially if you're not living in this country, as most of the riders are, but if you're coming into the country and you grow as a unit, and it's so good, so much fun.
Some people may be wondering why you're not taking part this week. Of course, you've got a damaged hand, so you'll be cheering on America, we would assume.
Well, we don't run until Eastbourne on Tuesday, but tonight I'd like to see what's going to happen. I mean, Australia is such a force to be reckoned right now, and if England's going to have any hopes of winning this title, they're going to have to really shine on this track tonight.
Well, it's a nice link to Chris Louis, of course, alongside you there. Team Great Britain have got a big job on their hands. Australia are the defending champions. They are in absolute scintillating form worldwide at the moment. And with the Czech Republic going pretty good too, it's no foregone conclusion that England are going to go through, is it?
No, it's going to be a tough race meeting out there. You know, the weather's intervened a little bit with the track, which could be a bit of a leveller, I think. But, you know, England have got Sean Wilson. He knows this track inside out. He's not going to worry about the conditions. But everybody's going to have to be going some to beat Australia. They're such a solid unit, they really are.
Well, it's going to be a great event. Let's just confirm at this opening stage exactly how it all pans out during the course of the week. Event 1 is here right now. Sheffield will be live, of course. Australia, Great Britain, the Czech Republic and Germany. Germany are qualifiers through to today. 10 teams were seeded through due to their order from last year. Germany, though, have qualified to have the privilege of racing against those other 3 teams. Event 2 tomorrow will be live on Sky Sports from Poole. Sweden, Denmark, Finland and Hungary are the protagonists in that particular match. Then event 3 will be at Eastbourne, just up the coast a little bit. Poland, the United States, Russia and the other qualifiers, Slovenia. That's how the 3 main events go. Now then, the winners for those 3 main events will go straight through to the final at Peterborough. The runner-up from each event, plus the best 2 of the 3rd place teams, will also go through to Thursday's, well, we'll call it a shootout for want of something better right now. World Cup final will be at Peterborough, and that really is something very, very special, and it's all live here on Sky Sports. Well, if that sounds your cup of tea, then what you really do to whet your appetite, of course, is look back to the 2001, the inaugural Speedway World Cup.
To qualify for the final. Tony Rickardsson led the Swedish team into a successful night as they went through, leaving Denmark in 2nd place and through to a race-off. On day 3, a strong Australian team eased their way through to the final day, America grabbing 2nd place. The race-off was to be one of the most exciting days ever in Speedway history. The unusual sight of 5 riders out on the track was soon to prove that 5 doesn't always go into 4.
Round they go, going wide, they're picking up different lines, but look at it again, down the back straight there. Jesper Jensen picks it. Oh, look at that problem for Paul Hurry. Takes 2 fire, Mark Laram, a little slow to make it here, looks down at his bike, but it goes space around the outside from on. He's got room down there and gets by. Brilliant ride by Mark Laram from back to front. He's done exactly what we wanted. The Czech Rahel is following him.
Despite great riding from Mark Laram, the USA's Sam Ermolenko was to prove all night that he was still a world-class rider. With Denmark taking a clear lead, it was now between USA and Great Britain for 2nd place.
And Paul Hurry on the final lap. Go on, Paul, keep it going. He is down the back straight. Never mind who's in front of him. This is the man we're watching. Paul Hurry, keep it going. Paul Hurry has. Paul Hurry's going to do it, I think. He has just. Yeah, what a ride.
Gary Havlock urged on teammate Mark Laram for a must-win final heat to give Britain a chance to go through to the final.
Mark Laram will face a race-off with the Americans. Mark Laram down the back straight. The Brits will tie for 2nd place here and we'll have a race-off. If they'd used the original regulations, the Brits would be through. But here, it's going to be one of the great Speedway meetings to remember for years to come.
It was a delighted Danish team that was safely through, and it was now between Mark Laram and Greg Hancock to decide 2nd place.
He looks towards the crowd. He looks for Mark Laram. He's not there. The checkered flag for Greg Hancock takes the Americans through. Speedway's World Cup will be between Australia in white, Poland in red. Poland go into this heat leading by 1 point. Let's see what happens. Away they go. The man in white is Jason Crump. He's not been headed. The Poles are at the back and have work to do. Kazaniak has a lot of work to do and goes down and will surely be excluded. He's excluded. The World Cup is over. The Australians have won.
What a fantastic inaugural event. You've got to say that they couldn't have got it much better. I mean, the old World Cup, the World Team Cup as it used to be known, this format much better for my money, Sam.
Well, it is. It's so interesting to see all the guys, like I said, come together as a unit, go out there and battle their way through to get to the final. And when you get to the final, you got to race against 5 guys that kind of steers things up, and may the best team win.
Indeed. That's the next link, of course. 5 guys at Peterborough on Thursday, and in the final, Chris, that is a tall order, isn't it?
It is a tall order. I mean, spectacular stuff. What do you think, Sam? You know, I mean, Václav out there, we saw there that you couldn't always get 5 guys around there safely, and Peterborough is going to be a lot narrower than that, so the guys are going to have their wits about them for sure.
Well, of course, there are 12 teams that are competing, and we have 4 tonight that are taking part here at Sheffield. Let's confirm how they look, and we start with the host team, Team Great Britain. Mark Laram is in scintillating form in the Grand Prix series at the moment, and of course he was a former world champion. Joe Screen, they'll all be riding in blue helmet colours tonight, so keep an eye on that. 3rd is Sean Wilson. He's riding under number 5, and he's a local here at Sheffield. Lee Richardson, watch out for Lee Richardson. He had a great British Grand Prix. And of course, team captain, who replaces Scott Nichols tonight, because Scott Nichols' ankle infection has got worse. So Gary Havelock, team captain, will be riding under number 5. So this is how they line up then. In the blue helmets will be Mark Laram with the number 1, Gary Havelock on 2, Lee Richardson 3, Joe Screen 4, and Sean Wilson 5. But the defending champions, of course, are Australia, and they're favourites tonight. And what a fantastic lineup. Ryan Sullivan, well, he leads the World Speedway Grand Prix Championship. And the man who's in 2nd place is Jason Crump. So 2 of the top men in the world at the moment. Lee Adams, well, he's one of the fastest men around in Grand Prix. Todd Wiltshire, one of the fastest guy out of the gate. So number 5 in the Australian lineup will be out of the gate as fast as possible. Jason Lyons will be riding number 4. And that is one very, very determined and superb team. Ryan Sullivan in the red helmet, as will the rest of the Australian Team B. Jason Crump, Lee Adams, Jason Lyons and Todd Wiltshire. Now then, the Czech Republic are our 3rd team at the moment. Let's take a look at them. Number 1 will be Lucas Drimmel. Bo Brahel is out there as well. Thomas Topinka replaces Tony Svab, who broke his tibia and fibia this morning in practice, so that's a disaster from him. Alice Drimmel, Lucas's brother, is riding under number 4. And Tony Casper is there on number 5. Their team manager, Josef Lastovkova. And the German team that qualified through as well, Robert Barth will be riding number 1. Matthias Kroger, these teams riding in yellow. Joachim Kugelmann will be there, Robert Kessler and Stefan Mell. That is the German team. Wolfgang Ziller is their team manager. Now then, the British team being presented here at Sheffield. These are live pictures, and you can see out there at the moment, Mark Laram, Gary Havelock, Lee Richardson, Joe Screen and Sean Wilson. And I tell you what, there's a lot of noise around this stadium at the moment. Chris Louis, a superb reception here. Neil Middleditch, the team manager for the British team, absolutely begged people to come here and get behind the local riders, even though some, of course, it's quite an anomaly in British sport, where we've got a situation where some of these riders ride for different elite league teams, and so allegiances might be with foreign teams, with foreign riders, Chris. So here they've got to get behind the Brits, though. Yeah, it's something that we see quite a bit. You know, you'll see British fans coming and they'll be supporting maybe their favourite American rider, Australian rider, but it seems today out there we've got a lot of Union Jacks. They're making a lot of noise. It's going to build up a fantastic atmosphere, which, you know, hopefully can raise the English boys to get out there and get a result. Well, the Speedway World Cup starts here at Sheffield, but tomorrow is round 2, and that's from Poole in Dorset.
Monday night action on Sky Movies Max.
This woman is part of a radical group. Your government is cooperating by putting a substantial bounty on her head. The Republic of China will be matching that amount.
It's 10 times bigger than anything we've had before.
When danger looks this good, you can expect mutiny. About the bounty. Codename Phoenix tomorrow at 10 on Sky Movies Max.
Does the car you're thinking of have free air conditioning? How about ABS and 4 airbags to keep you safe? And cost under £10,000? Try the Seat Leon and compare it to the hatchback you were going to buy.
Night, Mum.
Good night, Sarah.
Night, Dad.
Good night, Sarah.
Night, Grandma.
Good night, Sarah.
Night, travelling salesman.
Good night, Sarah.
Night, foreign exchange student.
Night, Sarah.
Night, touring preacher. I said night, touring preacher.
God bless Sarah.
Need to save money on a mortgage? There is another way. The Advantage Gold current account gives you a 1.35% discount on our standard mortgage rate.
I've got over 100 different tunes, and he keeps playing the same one over and over and help me.
What does your phone say about you?
Final dive then. Wong Tel Num of Malaysia.
The really difficult double somersault with half a twist.
The gold medal could be his. What's he doing? He's taken off his trunks. He's jumped in with absolutely nothing on. The judges can't believe it. He's taking a bath.
Imperial Leather, official sponsors of the Commonwealth Fun and Games.
Humans are often beset by irrational fears. I know the rope will hold me, but my nerves are still frayed. The same thing happens with your tax return. You know it won't bite, still you back away from it. But help is at hand. Send your self-assessment tax return by September the 30th, and the Inland Revenue will do all your calculations for you. It's never as bad as it looks. Self-assessment. Tax doesn't have to be taxing.
For just £6 a month, NatWest Advantage Gold can save you money on everything from NatWest loans and overdrafts to travel and shopping.
O2 has the only pay-as-you-go, with 50 texts and 50 anyone minutes included every month. It's called Pay and Go Wild, because now you can. See what you can do. O2.
Welcome back to the Olerton Stadium here in Sheffield for round 1 of the Speedway World Cup Series, which is going to be over the next 7 days. With me, of course, are Sam Ermolenko and Chris Louis. Now, we're in for an absolutely cracking meeting here at the moment, and I can tell you they're introducing the British team in front of a big crowd here at the Olerton Stadium. They've actually opened the back straight stand here as well at last. And as we look across, we can see Sean Wilson there. Sean Wilson, this is his local track, the Premier League track. He's had some really good rides just of late and was really looking forward to this race meeting. Sean Wilson knows the track, knows the event. He's proud to be in the team. It might be the only time that we see him. Listen to the crowd for Sean Wilson. And look at the smile then. He's all teeth. They say winners are grinners. And Sean Wilson really, really getting a lot of support here from his home fans, the Sheffield Tigers. Joe Screen, Big Joe, a lot of pressure on Joe. If he hits form tonight, though, he really could be the man of the moment. Lee Richardson looks a little bit serious there, Lee. Must say that the pressure of the event, mind you, he's had some pressure. He's been at the Millennium Stadium. Gary Havelock is our team captain. And Gary focused all week long for this race meeting. He's been drafted in, of course, today because Scott Nichols has been taken out of the team. And there is Mark Laram. Oh, big cheer for Mark Laram as well, and a smile for that. It's almost a relief when these guys get the kind of support here. Neil Middleditch there at the end, team manager of Team Great Britain. Gary Havelock, rousing calls throughout the week for the rest of the team. Great expectations from the big crowd here at the moment. Todd Wiltshire, this is the Australian team, the defending champions then. Todd Wiltshire, fast gaiter. Jason Lyons. Lee Adams. Again, very serious, these men. So the defending champions, Jason Crump, just second in the World Grand Prix Championship point standings at the moment. Ryan Sullivan, well, he is the main man at the moment. You've really got to say, he didn't win a Grand Prix until his 27th attempt, while being 27 years old, that is. So Ryan Sullivan, and then he couldn't stop winning them after that. Mark Laram there looking very serious indeed. Well, you've got to say that if this team can just pull it all together here, they might just be able to do it. Trackside, I can tell you, we have, of course, Jonathan Green and Kelvin Tatum. And Jono, what's the tension like down there at the moment? Certainly from where we're sat up here, we can really feel it here in the studio.
Yeah, it's very interesting you mention it, because I know we've all been very relaxed because we're all looking forward to it. We've been waiting so long for this event. But the minute I arrived here, I felt the tension immediately, especially in the pits. You know, obviously with Tony Spark going down and getting injured and breaking a leg earlier this afternoon, that's an atmosphere that, well, it makes things tough. Kelvin Tatum, you've been here. Last time Britain actually won the World Team Cup, you were the captain, and you know what this is all about. But it's very different than what we're doing week in, week out, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, this is a World Championship for a start. You know, you've got the pride of your country to race for. It's something that every rider wants to put on their own race jacket, their own country's colours. So all the guys, I'm sure, are very proud to be here this evening.
What are your thoughts about tonight? Obviously, Australia are favourites. Everybody says that. But it really does depend on who comes second. And Britain aren't necessarily guaranteed that, are they?
Well, Australia are red-hot favourites for this evening. There's no question about that. The only way I can see them getting beat is if they beat themselves, if they take it too lightly this evening. I think Great Britain, they've got a decent side. It is a loss for Scotty Nichols Calvin's not here with that problem with his ankle. That is a shame, but I think they will be concerned about the Czech Republic. They won't want to take them lightly. So they've got everything to race for to make sure they get through to Thursday. I can't hear myself think. I hope you can hear what I'm saying.
Well, we'll send Kelvin off to the commentary booth. Hopefully he'll be able to hear himself think. We can't hear anything. The fireworks are going off now. Let's hope they're going off for Great Britain later. Back to you, Keith.
Kelvin Tatum and Jonathan Green, cool under fire, I think we have to say there at the moment, because it's so loud we can hardly hear ourselves think here, and we've got headsets on as well. Well, let's take a look down there at Marc Laram now. Marc Laram, the riders have been out, gentlemen. With me still Sam Amalenko and, of course, Chris Louis, as they will be throughout today. Marc Laram under a little bit of pressure here. The racetrack looking very, very wet from a downpour we had earlier on. They've had some trouble with drainage here. All the teams have been out taking a look at the track. Chris, your verdict at this particular stage of the night?
Yeah, I think the British guys, they seem to be pretty happy with the track. They're not too concerned about conditions. I was looking at their faces on the presentation there, and they look very focused actually at the moment. Sean Wilson's going to be able to help them out a lot. He was giving them some pointers, I noticed, when they walked the track, talking about lines. It is a track where if you can find the right line, you can be a lot faster than somebody else. So it's all about finding the racing line out there.
Well, thank you very much. We'll speak with Sam in just a moment or two, of course. We've got to take a break at the moment. We're at Sheffield. Paul is day 2. You know about that. Day 3 of the World Cup is from Eastbourne.
Get ready for the new season of Premiership football. Once again, Sky Sports will bring you 66 games, live and interactive from the most exciting league in the world. And there's more. With Premiership Plus, you can get an extra 40 live games. 40 games for £40. That's just £1 a game. Ooh. For full details and to buy your Premiership Plus season ticket, call 08705 160 160 or see channel 433.
And what's new, Pussycat? What's new? The new Jaguar S-Type.
Jenny, your dinner's ready.
I just need to speak to Auntie Maria. Hiya, how's things?
Buongiorno, Jenny, come stai? Va bene?
I don't know, where is everybody?
Oh,
Dinner, love.
I'm coming now. You must come out here. Oh, it looks great. Quite a community on AOL, isn't it?
Good job I'm only cooking for the family.
With 23 channels of entertainment and information, you and your family can feel at home with AOL. Call now for your completely free trial.
Welcome back to the Allerton Stadium, where we're live for the first event in the Speedway World Cup of 2002. It's a superb event in 2001. Australia are the defending champions. The grey clouds have blown over the stadium here, and I know, Sam, we were very concerned about that. There has been a little bit of flooding here earlier on, and you've got to say that we could do without any rain here.
Yeah, there does need no more rain. They seem to really get the track pretty evened out at the moment, so hopefully there will be no rain. It'll be good racing.
Okay, well, excuse me just a minute, gentlemen, if I cut across. Let's go to Jonathan Green, who's got some of our British teamsters there at the moment. Jono.
Yeah, I just thought we'd try and get the feelings on the guys before they went out. Guys, we've talked to you many times before, but this is very different. What are your feelings, first of all, Marc Laram, about tonight?
Yeah, it's going to be hard early on. I'm thinking you're going to have to make a start. There's so much mud out there that, you know, I think it's going to be a problem. But hopefully later on, if the rain stays off, it should get better.
Will the conditions perhaps play in our hands?
Who knows, mate? I think it could be anyone who's going to get out there and race it.
You're in the first seat. We'll let you go, I think.
All right, thanks a lot.
Cheers. But Gary, we can quickly talk to you because obviously Mark's got to get going. Obviously, compared to last year, things have been better in terms of preparation, but Scotty Nicholls being out, not what we expected. How have you dealt with that as a captain?
Personally, it's been very difficult because I was actually at a wedding down in Poole last night. Got a call at 7 o'clock last night and I had to ride. I didn't have any of my gear with me or anything, so we've been rushing around frantically, getting people to pick my bikes up with my kit and drive here. We've had to drive here, so it's not the ideal preparation, but now I'm here, I'm ready.
What are your feelings? Everybody obviously says Australia are favourites, but you guys look pretty much up for it, and on the run-up to it, people have been riding pretty well. Do you feel as though you can put one on them tonight?
I don't see why not. You know, obviously the track took a lot of water during the day, and it's going to be tricky early on, but you know, if there's any track that we can perform on, it's this track. You know, we've got good riders around here, and let's see what we can do.
I know you want to watch the first heat because it could be very important in terms of how you set up, so we'll let you go as well.
It's Scuba.
back to you, Keith. That was Gary Havelock. It certainly was. There's no one else like Gary Havelock, that's got to be said. Now, slightly unprepared. He was at a wedding last night. Thank God they got him at 7 o'clock instead of later, I have to say, on those circumstances. He may be slightly underprepared, but he won't be badly prepared, will he, for this meeting?
Well, sometimes that can be a bonus. You know, you're not thinking too much about it. You're not even up. Your nerves aren't rattling. He was relaxing yesterday before it happened. It's almost like when you're sick or something. You just kind of, all right, let's see what happens, and you go out there and you perform well. It's going to be tough for anybody right now, the way the conditions are, and I think all the riders right now are more focused on, let's just get a couple of races under our belt, pass on our experience, and that's it. You know, that's gonna hopefully help. Well, we've heard who the favourites are, or supposed to be the favourites. They certainly are in the betting, that's for sure. So one man that will be feeling some pressure, I'm sure, Jono, must be Jason Crump. What's he look like to you?
Yeah, well, he's always as cool as a cucumber, is Jason Crump. But I must admit, you're in Britain. Obviously, everybody's against you in that respect. You are the world champions. Do you feel that pressure?
Well, we were against it last year in Poland as well, and I think our performance last year was exceptionally good, and we certainly want to try and equal that, if not better, at this year. So this is where we have to start, and we're looking forward to it.
It's hard to find a weakness in the Australian team. Who do you think's really going to start for you at a track like this, given the conditions?
I'm sure we're all capable of it. You know, the weather's been a bit bad today. The track's not ideal, certainly not like Sheffield normally is, and you know, I think we've all got strengths and we've all got weaknesses, but if we look at our strengths, everybody's strong, and everybody can do their job today, and I'm sure we can win, but we're certainly not underestimating anybody.
All right, thanks very much, Jason. Best of luck to you. Listen, let me take you down a little bit, because this is obviously where the Australian pits is and where the British pits is, but it's actually quite spread out here. In fact, let me take you down here, all the way around the corner here. It's a bit of a walk, actually, but there we go. Whoop. A few wires, everything else. And then the guys come out here, and as you can see now, it looks as though we've got Lucas Rimmel right here. One of the Czech Republic men, and Lucas, obviously a big night for your team tonight. Everybody's saying that Australia will win this event, and then it's between you and Britain. How do you feel in that respect?
I'm sure it will be a very tough meeting, you know, everybody's a strong team, you know, and we started a little bit unlucky when Tony Schwab broke his leg, you know, in the practice, so we hope in better end.
How has that affected the team? Because that is bitter, bitter news. At 1 o'clock this afternoon, one of the team members is out completely of the World Cup.
You know, it's hard, you know, it's sport, you know, everybody can happen, and we hope Tomas Tubinka will be strong mate in the team as well, and we hope let's go.
What's the feeling back at home? Because obviously the Czech Republic have had a great history of Speedway, but it's been a few years since you've been right up there. But you've got some youngsters like yourself in there now. Do you feel as though you're on the way back up?
Yeah, we hope so. We have quite a young team, you know. We are growing up, and we still hope we have some good starts from Czech Republic, and we still hope we can do some good result as well.
I hope you and your brother have a good night. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Great atmosphere down here at Keith at the moment, and I'll tell you what, the bikes are just revving up, and the tensity you were talking about is getting even higher. I can tell it in your voice, Jono. We'll be back with you in just a bit, of course, because he's going to be working very hard running up and down. Right, time for a quick prediction from you gentlemen here tonight. It'll be interesting to see if anybody goes against Australia. Chris Louis, how do you feel it's going to go? I mean, is it about second place like everybody keeps talking about at the moment?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, Australia are a fantastically strong side. They're solid right through the reserve. So be a huge psychological advantage if England could, or Great Britain could beat them today. But I think it is about second place, and I think they will beat the Czech Republic.
But when we've got tactical substitutes and jokers that we haven't covered at this particular point, I'm sure Tony Miller will in a moment, but we've got joker. There's also a bit of team management that can come in here to win this event for them, Sam.
Yeah, we used that last year in the playoffs, and it did work for us. You know, it's just one of those things where all these riders know that the track conditions are a little bit dodgy right now. If they're going to take advantage of trying to get an advantage on Australia, play the track right now. Whoever can dice the track up right now. Sean Wilson rides this track week in and week out. He can hopefully, you know, show the other riders what to do.
Give us a top three then.
My top three's got to be Australia. Okay, I want to say England, but I think it can be an upset. I think Checo could come in second, and I think England might struggle.
Well, I'm just going to fight with all of you because I hate to go with the flow. So I'm going to have the UK riding out of their socks for this one, and Team Great Britain doing something very, very special for us tonight. They look very tense. If Joe Screen manages to pull it together, Mark Laram, if he's on top form as well, and with Sean Wilson really patriotic and very, very happy to be there, maybe they can just do something special in these slightly adverse conditions. We'll have to wait and find out as they come down then to the line to start Heat 1. It will be Jason Lyons, Mark Laram, Alice Trimmel and Matt Kruger. And, of course, at trackside, our live commentary team, Kelvin Tatum has moved back into the box alongside the one and only Tony Millard.
Good evening, welcome indeed to the Allerton Stadium, a 361-metre track, only 4 longer circuits in Britain. The Yorkshire weather has relented a little, the track staff have done wonders to get the track fit after torrential rain. 4 nations tonight, you've heard. Could one of them win the cup on Saturday night? Australia, the holders and favourites, but tonight, well, anything can happen. Kelvin Tatum's been down on the track. Kelvin, it's not going to be easy for the riders, is it?
No, it's very wet on the inside and certainly quite slick on the outside. I think the first few heats, I think the guys are going to be finding their way, just trying to settle down and find a good line, but it could well be a little bit tricky early on.
Throughout the meeting, remember, the Australians wear the red helmet colours, Great Britain wear blue, the Czech Republic wear white, and Germany wear yellow. The line-up for heat number 1 on the inside for the Czech Republic is Alice Trimmel. Mark Laram goes for Great Britain gate 2 in the blue helmet colour. Gate 3 is Jason Lyons for Australia in red, and on the outside, Matthias Kruger goes for Germany. He's in the yellow helmet colour. They'll keep the same helmet colours throughout the meeting. They will, of course, adjust in gate positions, and that can change as the meeting goes on. A big circuit here at Sheffield, a crowd around 5,000 set to enjoy a tremendous meeting and hope the rain will hold off. Our referee tonight, Mick Bates, who comes from Mildenhall. Our star marshal there, Lou Charlesworth. Away they go on the inside. A great start by Alice Trimmel in white. In blue for Britain. Second place is Mark Laram. Back in third place, red Jason Lyons. Taylor for the back in yellow. For Germany is Kruger. But they're stretching out now. And a surprise leader is Alice Trimmel. But the chase is on for Mark Laram.
Yeah, super start from the gates, inside gate there. But Mark Laram putting a lot of pressure under Alice Trimmel. But the inside start certainly seemed to be working very well in the first heat here.
Yes, a tremendous start by Alice Trimmel going from gate number 1. Mark Laram in the blue helmet colours from gate 2. Looking back at the moment with half the race gone. Laram perhaps settling for second place. Trimmel looking perfect out front. Way at the back, the German Matthias Kruger has pulled up and out. But down that back straight they go. A lap and a quarter to go in the white helmet colour. For the Czech Republic is Alice Trimmel. Mark Laram's not going to catch him now, going in second place in the blue helmet colour. Back in red, Jason Lyons. Australia won't like this. Remember, it's 3 points for the heat winner, 2 for the second place man, 1 for the third. That's how it'll continue throughout the night. And the first lot of 3 points are going to go to the Czech Republic. Could they spring a surprise? Mark Laram in second place in blue. In red, Jason Lyons for Australia. Not exactly as Britain would have wanted, but they finished in front of the Australians. The Czechs could spring a surprise tonight. And that man, Alice Trimmel, certainly from gate number 1, leading from pillar to post. And the winner there for 3 points. A tremendous ride by the young Czech rider who races in the British Elite League for Oxford, and certainly well worth his victory there. Alice Trimmel.
Yeah, very good ride, Tony. He's not fully fit, and a tremendous start for Alice Trimmel.
Alice Trimmel, the winner there in the white helmet colours. For Britain, Mark Laram, second place, 2 points. Jason Lyons for Australia in red, 3. Germany, of course, no points, and that's how it stands after 1 heat. That's the progressive totals, of course, as you'll see throughout the evening. 3, 2, 1, and 0 is how they go. And they let up as we go through the 24 heats.
Here we see the replay again. There the clutches are out, the bikes are away. Look at the guy on the inside here. Trimmel gets a super run to the first corner. Does leave a little bit of room on the inside, but tentatively the guys are just looking around the inside there. They know that the dirt's down on the inside on the first lap of the first heat. Mark Laram doing a nice ride there in second place. To be quite honest, all 4 riders are just a little bit tentative of the conditions. I've had a good look. Just for a moment, it looks like Mark might just be able to squeeze up the inside here. Alice Trimmel did run a little bit wide, but he just cuts back as they come out of here, out of the second corner. And to be perfectly honest, Trimmel rides a faultless race from then on. Here we're looking at Jason Lyons, gate 3. I had a look at the track earlier on, and gate 3 probably was the worst starting position, and certainly that proves so for the Aussie rider. But Trimmel hit the front, and although Laram put him under a little bit of pressure early on, just couldn't get in front when it counted.
Well, we're now going to move on to heat number 2 from that Speedway World Cup. The man in yellow there, Robert Barth, making his World Cup debut. Rider well known to Kelvin Tatum. Rides the long track with you in Germany, doesn't he, Robert Barth?
He certainly does, and at the moment I'm leading him in the World Championship by 2 points. I think he wants to beat me, but
He'll have to try extremely hard.
He'll feel safe down there tonight. He's got a window between you and him. Remember, throughout the meeting, the red helmet colours worn by the World Cup holders Australia. Their representative there, Lee Adams, in the red helmet colours. The man in white there, that's Thomas Topinka coming into the meeting at the last minute. Yep. The unfortunate Tony Svab, who broke a leg in practice this morning. The British representative, Gary Havelock, the team captain in the blue helmet colours.
And Gary has actually already changed his bike, Tony. He came out on one and his mechanics has just pushed him off on his second bike, so I don't know whether something went wrong immediately with that. Let's hope that it's not too significant.
Well, the referee, Mick Bates, has put them on 2 minutes. It's just under 50 seconds for Gary Havelock to get there. Gary Havelock is the man in the blue helmet colours on the inside gate 1. Lee Adams for Australia, gate 2. Robert Barth for Germany goes from gate 3. And the late replacement for the Czech Republic is Thomas Topinka, who races for Coventry, goes to the outside. Yeah. And that clock counting down, but Gary Havelock is up there on his second machine, and things not quite right, rushing from a wedding and racing here this morning, Kelvin.
Yeah, that's right. It's put him under a lot of pressure, and it was obviously a lot of quick phone calls to get everything together to make sure he could get here, but here he is. He knows this place very well.
Jason Crump looking on there, just seeing what the track's like, and we'll see Jason Crump out in the next race.
I do predict early on that the inside starts will be favourite. I think the outside won't work until a little bit later on in the meeting.
Well, that's where Gary Havelock's going from here with the blue helmet colours. Away they go. Gary Havelock gets a good start, but a great ride by Lee Adams, trying to pick up grip. Havelock, though, takes it wide, and a good ride by Gary Havelock. Ahead of the Australian Lee Adams in red, back in third place in yellow, Robert Barth for Germany. Thomas Topinka looks to be struggling in the back for the Czech Republic, but Gary Havelock, a captain's ride here, and he's heading Lee Adams. Adams, of course, races for Oxford. Havelock for Paul in the British League, and Havelock doing his team justice.
Super first lap there from Gary, making full advantage of gate 1, as we saw Alice Drimmel did in heat 1. Lee Adams trying very hard to get up on this back wheel, but so far the track is a little bit greasy, and all the riders are just taking it just a little bit careful at the moment.
Yes, 2 races here, because the back 2, Robert Barth is heading the man at the back, Thomas Topinka of the Czech Republic. The front 2 are racing, but Gary Havelock with a lap to go shows the class, and this is what the Brits want to see here, with the British fans cheering here in the Allerton Stadium at Sheffield, as Gary Havelock, those 2 at the back, aren't in the race, but Gary Havelock now is going to take the checkered flag. A tremendous ride by the captain. The Australian in second place is Lee Adams. Third place on the line goes to the man in yellow, Robert Barth for Germany. But what a ride by Gary Havelock. Changes machine, just beat the 2-minute warning, rushed here overnight, and Gary Havelock, Kelvin, has done what a captain should do.
Absolutely, he did a fantastic race, superb confidence-boosting race that. Robert Barth there, we just see getting third place in front of Thomas Topinka, but what a start for Gary Havelock, coming in at the last moment. Fantastic opening heat from him, and a great boost for the Great Britain side, Tony. I think that's just what they needed.
Gary Havelock, the winner, 3 race points for Great Britain. For Australia, Lee Adams, just 2 points. Germany's Robert Barth got their first point of the night so far. For the Czech Republic, Thomas Topinka struggled. His teammate, of course, Alice Drimmel, had won the first race. And there's the progressive total, encouraging for the Brits, because Great Britain lead with 5 points. Australia and the Czech Republic 3 each. Germany 1, but plenty of racing still to come.
Look at Gary Havelock on the, they're the guys just going out of shot, but look at Gary Havelock in the blue helmet colour on the inside. Again, that inside start working well. Lee Adams thinks for a moment he's in front. He tries to get a run round, but realises that there's no grip out there, so he tries to turn back up the inside. But Gary's rode a great first corner, gets his wheels in line down the back straight, then enters this sweeping entrance to the third corner here, where it's a little bit greasy still. Great ride from Gary as he enters the corner there. He really looks confident on the bike. All the riders are looking a little bit tricky, but so far, so good, and a great ride from Gary Havelock there.
And Gary Havelock is with Jonathan Green.
Yeah, I tell you what, we're delighted he didn't go to that wedding, and he came out and did a brilliant job for Britain there. Well done. How was it out there in terms of conditions?
It's pretty tricky. I think I was looking at gate 1. There wasn't a lot of grip about it. Managed to find a piece right by the curb. Just got me enough, and you know, I tried pretty greedy, and it's hard to ride, but it's a lot easier when you're out in front, I guess.
What are you going to tell the guys now?
The last couple of laps I decided to move out a little bit on a fresh line. It seemed to be a lot better, so I just stole out the jaw. Hopefully he can make that work for him now.
Do you feel as though you got the beaten up tonight?
Oh no, it's a long way to go there, class act, but you know, we're going to be giving it everything we've got.
All right, let's go back to Tony Millard.
Well, I have to tell you, of course, Great Britain now in the lead, but Kelvin Tatum alongside me looked at the track. Joe Screen goes from gate 3, which isn't the best, Kelvin.
No, it isn't. It's very hard there, and it's where the track hasn't really, the water hasn't got into the track. Certainly gate 1 and gate 2 look favourite early on, and with Jason Crump on gate 1, I'd be very surprised not to see him hit the first corner first. but maybe there's a little bit of grip just developing in the mid-track. If Screeney can do or use some of that, could be very useful.
You heard Keith Hewitt and the boys talking about tactical substitutions. Well, those can't happen until you are 6 points behind the leading nation. We'll explain that later. So heat 3 on the inside, Jason Crump goes for Australia. For the Czech Republic, Lucas Drimmel. Gate 3, Joe Screen goes for Britain with work to do. On the outside, Joachim Kugelmann for Germany, the top scorer for Germany in last year's World Cup series, and certainly played his part there. Many of the Germans didn't seem too interested in that, Kelvin, last year.
No, they didn't. They don't get a lot of support from their own federation, so let's see what they do this time around.
Away they go, a real flyer for Jason Crump on the inside, but into second place goes Joe Screen, tracking him on the inside, round the outside and picking up grip is Kugelmann for Germany, but Screen's got work to do and does it again, diving through on the inside. Track conditions not good, but Jason Crump, we're perfect out front.
Fantastic start from Crump. He leapt away, was a bike length up immediately. Screeney rode a good first corner, then Kugelmann got by him, but then he dived back under him and going into turn 3, and actually Screeney looks like he's got some pace here and putting Crumpy under some pressure.
Jason Crump out front in the red helmet colour. Australia wearing that colour throughout. For blue, it's Great Britain and Joe Screen. Back in third place in white, that's Lucas Drimmel for the Czech Republic. Tail off down the back, Joachim Kugelmann, but the challenge is on with a lap and a quarter to go. Joe Screen is going wide and putting the challenge on, but Crumpy holds on and will surely hold this now. Jason Crump in the red helmet colours. Down the back straight he goes, looking fast, furious and certainly classy, that man Jason Crump, to take the checkered flag. Joe Screen now being put under pressure, but should hold on for second place in blue. Just does, but third place in white goes to Lucas Drimmel, and the German Kugelmann tails it off at the back, but a tremendous ride by that man Jason Crump, third in the Grand Prix series at the moment, and certainly looking a possible world champion, as we said before. Yep. He got a lightning start in that one. We'll see the replay with Kelvin in a moment, but Jason Crump has showed his class here, and the Australians will move him back into contention. The result of heat number 3, a win for the rider in red, Jason Crump. Britain's Joe Screen in second place. Lucas Drimmel of the Czech Republic, 1 point in third. Joachim Kugelmann failing to pick up a point for Germany in last place. Current standings see Great Britain 1 point ahead of Australia, the Czech Republic 4 points behind, and the Germans, well, now they could use a tactical substitution, 6 points or more behind. You can use that technique.
Yeah, great start from Great Britain, but an even better one from Jason Crump in this race. He literally was a bike length up here. Look how far in front he is. Fantastic off the inside there, moves across in front of Gate 2 and Joe Screen. Screeney looks like he's got a safe bet here in second place, but just for a moment, Joachim Kugelmann gets a really good run around the outside and gets in front of Screeney, but Screeney knows this track inside out, rushes underneath Joachim Kugelmann there. Kugelmann's not going to give in without a fight, but Screeney moves across into the mid-track and fills him in. Meanwhile, out front, Crumpy's away, looking good, finding his feet on the track. The track seems to be improving very quickly indeed. Again, we've got this scenario where we've got 2 races within one between first and second and third and fourth. But Screeney does here, again, tries a little bit of a run around the outside to generate some more speed. But to be quite honest, I think Crumpy's really got him covered most of the time.
As we move on to heat number 4, the man coming up in white there is Bahumel Brahel, the 37-year-old who's raced in 336 British League matches in his career, but doesn't, of course, currently race here at the moment on the outside. Waiting for the German Robbie Kessler to come up. I said to Kelvin early on, I would have a little bit of a bet that perhaps no German wins a heat here tonight. It doesn't look as if they're suited the conditions, Kelvin.
Well, if any man from Germany can win a race here, certainly Robbie Kessler's got the credentials. He used to ride here for the Sheffield, and certainly he's one that could do something for them.
The full lineup. Lee Richardson goes for Britain on the inside in blue. Gate 2, the flying Ron Sullivan for Australia in red, joint leader of the GP series. Robbie Kessler, a former Sheffield rider, goes from Gate 3 in yellow on the outside. Bahumel Brahel for the Czech Republic in the white helmet colours.
What can Lee Richardson do from the inside, Tony? Every race so far has been won from the inside. Looks like it is a significant advantage early on. It's be terrific. He can put one over Ryan Sullivan in this race.
Interesting pattern of starting positions in this format. It seems to meander all over the place. Yeah. Early on, the teams in blue and red get the inside starting gates on many occasions. That will change later on.
Well, it could well actually play into the benefit of Australia and England, because the track, certainly the dirt will move wider in the first corner, and gates 3 and 4 could be beneficial later on in the meeting.
This is heat number 4. At the moment, Britain in front with 7 points, Australia 6. The Czech Republic have 4, Germany 1. That's the progressive scoreline. The starting marshal there is Lou Charlesworth, struggling to get up to Tates, the man in white for Hummel Brahel. Our referee tonight, Mick Bates, a former rider from Mildenhall, sitting up above. Away goes our starting marshal. A real flyer there on the inside from Lee Richardson, but in white. The surprise being sprung by Hummel Brahel, who's come across there. Hummel Brahel from gate 4, and now moving into second place is Lee Richardson, and we've a race on our hands here because Brahel knows what he's doing and is stretching his lead.
What a fantastic start from Beau Brahel. He just let the bike run round the first corner, hooked up and he was gone. He looks really fast out front. Lee Richardson did get away pretty well, but at the moment, flying Ryan Sullivan isn't flying and he's back in third place.
Yes, and one might have bet against that. Ryan Sullivan in the red helmet colours way back in third. Lee Richardson now putting Hummel Brahel under some pressure out front. Down the back straight they go. A lap and a half to race. Hummel Brahel is going wide. Lee Richardson is chasing him. Sullivan is making no progress at all. And once again, Robbie Kessler, the German, is at the back. Round that top bend they go. The grip is going wide, and Hummel Brahel is reading it exactly right. He's putting under pressure now from Lee Richardson. Can Richardson do it? It's going to be close here, but Hummel Brahel does it in wide for the Czech Republic. Their second heat winner of the night in second place in blue there. A good ride by Lee Richardson, and the Aussies relegated to third place in red, which means Britain has an advantage at the moment over the Australians, and that's not what we expected early on, nor did we expect a fantastic ride by that man, Hummel Brahel.
Tremendous ride from Brahel there. Superb start.
The heat winner, Hummel Brahel, 3 points. For Britain, Lee Richardson 2. Australia's Ryan Sullivan, a 1. Germany struggling with Robbie Kessler in last place, but the progressive totals show us Britain 2 points in front of Australia, who are tied with the Czech Republic in second place, and Germany in fourth place on 1 point. We've a meeting on our hands, well and truly, here at the Allerton Stadium.
Oh, we certainly have. This was a shock here. Look at Lee Richardson on the inside, lip bike lifting there. Looks like he's got it all under control, but whoa, look out. Here comes Beau Brahel from the outside, really gets his bike hooked up. Track's obviously just generating a little bit of grip in the middle of the track. He takes full advantage of that, swoops around the outside of both Lee Richardson. Lee Richardson cuts the nose off of Ryan Sullivan going into turn 3. Really tough move that was, going down the back straight. But Beau Brahel out front, high, wide and handsome, really going for it, generating a lot of speed on that first lap and really looks very comfortable indeed. Here we see off the start again, Lee Richardson makes a great start from the inside, lifting all the way out, but just at the last second, Beau Brahel finds some grip from somewhere, and all of a sudden the track's changed within one heat, and he can use that dirt mid-track. And look at him there, leaning off the back of the bike, loving it out there, and really gets a great run off this first corner. Meanwhile, Lee Richardson in the middle there in the sandwich has to really take control of Ryan Sullivan, because Sullivan looks for a moment like he's going to force his way by Lee Richardson down the back straight. So,
no doubt about the winner. Hummel Brahel is the second oldest man in the field. He's with Jonathan Green.
Yeah, well, he jumped out of that start like nobody's business. Everything's been won so far off gate 1. You were out of gate 4 and you looked so quick.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried before the start about the gate 4 because looks worse from the all 4 gates. But I make a pretty good start and I was really enjoying that. And I just was following into dirt all 4 laps, and that was it.
Well done, good stuff. We'll let you get back. Let's go back to commentary.
Heat 5, in which all the number 5s race against each other. They do that 4 times in the night if tactical substitutes don't come into it. It could be significant here. Todd Wiltshire goes on the inside, but Sean Wilson for Britain in blue in gate 2, really significant on his home track. Tony Kasper for the Czech Republic goes from gate 3. Another time he's become Czech champion just a couple of weeks ago. And Stefan Mell for Germany goes from the outside. An interesting format here, Kelvin.
Yeah.
Heat 5 will be vital.
Could be a very huge night, and Sean Wilson could have a massive part to play in it.
Heat 5, away goes our starting marshal. It's a real flyer on the inside from Todd Wiltshire, and Sean Wilson caught napping is back in third place. The Czech Tony Kasper second now. The German at the back, Stefan Mell. But what a flyer by Todd Wiltshire, and the challenge in second place now because Sean Wilson is going by his man and couldn't move into second place. A tremendous ride by Sean Wilson to chase the Aussie out front. Todd Wiltshire Wiltshire. Another fine race.
Fantastic start from Todd Wiltshire, there's no question about it. Sean Wilson wasn't ready, the tape seemed to go very quickly, but Wiltshire's away. Great ride from Sean Wilson to come around Tony Casper, but Casper hasn't given in yet. He's going to keep fighting all the way, but right now Wiltshire's out front and looking very comfortable.
A lap and a half to go. Todd Wiltshire, the Sydney sider, the number 5, the fast skating Australian, goes into the final lap in front. Second place in blue, Sean Wilson, the Sheffield man, racing with the Union Jack on his chest and racing for Great Britain with a vengeance. Down the back straight they go. The Aussies will close the gap by another point here, but Britain will keep going. Todd Wiltshire wins it in red. A tremendous ride by Sean Wilson, coming from 3rd to 2nd. In 2nd place in blue and 3rd in white there, Tony Casper. A good ride by him, and the German Stefan Mell once again outclassed. But what a race by Todd Wiltshire. It was like lightning. He moved from the tapes there, and we knew what he could do. It was gate 1 that he had, and he profited by that. Australia 3 points for Todd Wiltshire. Sean Wilson 2 for Great Britain. Tony Casper 1 for the Czech Republic. The Germans failing to score, and progressively now it's getting exciting. Great Britain lead Australia by 1 point on 11. Czech Republic have fallen behind a little now to 8, and the Germans have one solitary point scored by Robert Bath early on.
Yeah, tremendous start from Todd Wiltshire here in this race on the inside. And we're looking at the back of Tony Casper there. We can't quite see Wiltshire. Wiltshire's already gone. He's out of picture. But there, I don't think Sean Wilson was ready. Casper gets in front of him. Look at that red helmet colour of Wiltshire. He's almost 10 metres up initially. And to be honest, none of the other riders saw which way he went. He really did look very impressive indeed. Here we're looking at Wiltshire. Look at the reaction from the bike. How far in front is he? Unbelievable start from him. Terrific round the first corner. Casper into 2nd place. Wilson, I do believe, wasn't really ready on the start, but he's got that bulldog spirit. He wasn't going to give in. Lets the bike run wider as he comes around this corner. Terrific passing manoeuvre here as he swoops around the outside of Casper. And from then on, he had a good settled 2nd place and 2 points for the Great Britain cause.
Well, certainly from Great Britain's point of view, it's all going well at the moment. They're in the lead. The Sheffield crowd happy with Britain leading by just a single point. They're marking their programmes. What a night we have in front of us. Only 5 heats have gone. Another 19 will entertain this crowd here at the Allerton Stadium.
Going to break Babe Ruth's home run record.
Maybe some records aren't made to be broken.
No doubt. I mean, Mickey Mantle is the greatest player that ever was.
I don't care about this stupid record, Mickey. And who are you rooting for?
I want Roger, because everyone else is rooting for Mickey.
Hey, don't get on my case just because everybody else is on yours. It's not my problem.
Right, it's my problem. My problem.
The baseball legend of '61, Thursday at 8 on Sky Movies Max.
Hi, Harry. Heartburn again? Take a Pepsid 2 tablet. Just one's enough. Only 2 minutes and Pepsid 2 gets to work. Feeling better already? Oi, Harry! 1 tablet and it's still working? Harry! Harry! Pepsid 2. It's fast, it lasts, and it's just 1 tablet.
How do you feel about the body?
Very happy. It's what we said all along.
With the result.
Story today. In a landmark hearing, it's been proven that the Vectra sets new rules in the car industry.
Ever have any doubts?
Yeah. For a minute there, I didn't think we'd make it out in time for lunch.
Welcome back to the Allerton Stadium here at Sheffield. Got to say that it's a remarkable turn-up at the moment. Great Britain lead as we have only 5 heats gone by. But Chris Louis, bit of an upset already. They've been riding brilliantly as a team.
They have, yeah. They look like I say on parade. They look focused and they're doing a great job out there. We saw what Sean Wilson's capable of. So, you know, he could be the trump card. He's just going to have to work on those starts. But the track at the moment has a little bit of grip everywhere, but that's going to change. We're going to end up with a slick circuit and a real grippy one on the outside.
Sam, are you surprised that the Australians have had a bit of trouble getting into their stride?
Not at all. Not the way the conditions were. Like I said, you take advantage of the adverse conditions and you can possibly pull something off. It just depends on what happens later on.
Okay, well, we can go down to the pit lane now where Jonathan Green is in with that man that didn't start too good, but his race was brilliant, Sean Wilson.
Yeah, he had to really work at it, and Sean, not the best of starts for you necessarily, especially as the track specialist, but you had to work at that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did a little bit. I mean, it's, you know, with the problems we've had with the weather today, so it's made the starts a little bit greasier than normal, and not making excuses, but I'm not as good off the slick ones, you know what I mean? I'm only going to dump in the clutch in the dirt, so it was a little bit harder, but you know, as I say, I don't think they can do too much today with like the weather as it is, so I'm going to have to sit a little bit further back.
Just saw you talking to one of your teammates. What did you tell him about the conditions and what to do?
I just kind of said, like, you know, like the dirt's quite a long way out. It's gone out so quickly, and Gary's saying to me, he's saying, like, you know, where should I come into the turn? I'm saying, well, keep the bike going straight as long as you can, because the big sweeping bends at Sheffield, you know, so the less you go inside was the better today, you know, because it's not a big dirt line all the way around the top of the corner to carry the bike. So if we can kind of triangle the corner off, so you're just making one big turn in the middle and getting your wheels in line to drive out. So
thanks a lot, mate. We've got to go. We've got to go to the next tee. But even the experts are having problems here tonight. Back to you guys, Tony Millard.
In time for 8-6, Lucas Drimmel on the inside, Robbie Kessler for Germany, gate 2, Gary Havelock in the trouble, gate 3, and on the outside for Australia, Jason Lance. That's where the battle's going to be. Sean Wilson said the dirt had moved down. It could test the talents of Havelock and Jason Lance here in this one.
Be interesting to see what Lucas Drimmel can do for the inside, and that gate 3 heavy. What can he do from there?
Starting Marshall moves away up by the Tates very, very quickly, and Jason Lance, it is in red, but taken wide he is by the German, Robbie Kessler, and now the surprise sees the Czech Lucas Drimmel in front. Kessler for Germany is in second place. Back in third place now is Gary Havelock, and Jason Lance, a real surprise, is right at the back. Although he's making ground, the back two have work to do.
Yeah, Lucas Drimmel, great start from the inside, roared across the first corner to the dirt on the outside. Gary Havelock missed the start from gate 3, but turned back up the inside and nicked that third place, but it's coming under a lot of pressure from Jason Lance around the outside.
Work to do for Gary Havelock. Half the race is gone, stretching his lead out front. Lucas Drimmel in the white helmet colour for the Czech Republic. Second place there, the German in yellow, Robbie Kessler. But now Havelock making ground round that top bend. Gary Havelock in the blue helmet colours, holding off the Australian Jason Lance. Surprising in the back, because the Australians have picked up a point in every race so far, but not at the moment. Down the back straight they go, and the Czechs are keeping very much in this meeting, because Lucas Drimmel in the white helmet colours takes the checkered flag now. Just in third place is Gary Havelock, behind the German Robbie Kessler, who becomes the first German to finish higher than third here tonight. But what a ride by that man there, Lucas Drimmel. Third in his first outing, but now Lucas Drimmel, like his brother Alice, has won a heat. So too has Bo Brahel, and the Czechs have now won 3 of the first 6 heats individually, and they are springing a surprise here in Sheffield.
I know that I spoke to Neil Middleditch earlier on, and he said that he was concerned about that. There we see Lucas Drimmel, a great wheelie across the start and finish line. Superb effort from him. Kessler in second place. Heavy hanging on to third there. Surprise packet with Lyons back in last.
Yes, well, heat number 6, the official result shows a Czech Republic winner in Lucas Drimmel ahead of Germany's Robbie Kessler on his ex-home track. Great Britain's Gary Havelock, the captain, in third place. Britain have scored in every heat. The Australian tailed off at the back, but there's the Australians dropping to third place now, with Britain leading the Czechs by a single point. Germany have 3. This meeting is very much alive.
Yeah, neck and neck in the first 3. Here we see it again. Look at Lucas Drimmel the inside. Great grip. He gets a bit of a fishtail effect to the first corner. Kessler then gets pushed across in front of the irons that balks him. Havy's around the inside, but here they come off the first corner, and Drimmel's away around the outside, really generating all that speed. Kessler using his knowledge of this track, having ridden here for several seasons. Havy back there in third place. It does look like here for a moment that Lyons is going to get a run around the outside, but it's wet and slippery on the outside there and runs out of traction. Here we look at Havelock off gate 3. Gate 3 isn't good. It's slick and slimy there. Misses it completely. Uses his, makes that quick decision there to turn up the inside and see what he can nab as he comes off the first corner. And fortunately for Great Britain, he does get a point. So we're still in the hunt there, still leading the way.
Well, certainly it's tight here as we move on to heat number 7, where Lee Adams, the Australian, has the favoured inside gate. Bahumul Bahel, the Czech Republic rider who stormed to victory in his first ride, goes from gate 2. Joachim Kugelmann still looking for his first point of the night for the Germans, goes from gate 3. And Mark Laram, who came second in the very first race of the night, will be looking to improve Britain's position here in the blue helmet colours, but going from the outside gate. And, well, it's not too bad for Mark Laram, and his style might be suited by that position, Kelvin.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that, Tony. I think it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Certainly Beau Brel managed to make it from the outside start in his race and surprised us all. None of us expected that early, but certainly Mark does enjoy riding the outside. But he's got two tough customers in Lee Adams and Beau Brel on the inside.
Well, that man Lee Adams you see on your screen now could spell danger if he flies from the favoured gate 1. Away goes our starting master once again. Up fly the Tates. Mark Laram gets a good start, but so too does Beau Brel in white, who then goes wide. And now Mark Laram comes through to the cheers of the Sheffield crowd ahead of Lee Adams. A tremendous ride, but Adams comes back again. It's a ding-dong battle here. Laram in blue, Adams for Australia in red. In third place in white is now Beau Brel. Right at the back is the German Kugelmann, but Laram at his very best.
What a fantastic first corner from Mark Laram, at his best indeed. Squeezed by Lee Adams, came under tremendous pressure as they went round the third and fourth corner. But this is Mark Laram at his best, out front, really going racing.
Significantly, the Czech reduced to third place, and this will help Britain's cause indeed. But Mark Laram was the 2000 world champion, and he's shown world championship style here as he goes into the final lap of this 361-metre circuit. Mark Laram in the blue helmet colours, carrying all before him, the balance of the riders behind him and stretching that lead down the back straight. And Mark Laram in the blue helmet colours, a tremendous ride, a tremendous victory, and the fans are loving this. Lee Adams in second place in red. Third in white for the Czech Republic is the very lively Bahumul Bahel. But that man there, Mark Laram, we know what value he is to the British team. A second place and now a heat victory, 5 points out of 6 to stretch Britain's lead indeed, ahead of the Aussies by 3 points, ahead of the Czechs now by 3 points. It's getting very, very exciting, and it's all going well for Britain. And that man there, Mark Laram, the 2000 world champion, is playing his part indeed. The official result, Mark Laram for Britain, 3 points. Lee Adams for Australia, 2. For the Czech Republic, Bahumul Bahel has 1. Germany again failed to score, and progressively looking even more interesting for Great Britain, who now lead the Czech Republic and Australia each by 3 points. Britain 15, Australia and the Czechs 12. Germany have just 3. What a night.
Fantastic this was. Just watch this. Here's Mark Laram on the outside, drops the clutch, lifts, then grabs it again, fishtails a little bit, gets straight across. Beau Brel actually just goes all over the place. Don't quite know what he was up to, but certainly he didn't do himself any favours. Here just for a moment it looks like Lee Adams has got it all under control, but Mark Laram finds that little bit of extra drive and squeezes by. Then he runs for the outside. Then Lee Adams decides, right, I'm going to come up the inside, I'm going to put you under the pressure, see if I can squeeze through here. But Mark just about keeps his bike going forward all the time, works his bike. Now he's got his wheels in line and he's away, and absolutely first class lap from Mark Laram. There we see him coming from the outside where Beau Brel won his previous heat, manages to get a good getaway, gets in front of the guy on 3, but Brel, I don't know where he came from, he seemed to do a right turn as he got to the first corner. Then for a moment it looks like Lee Adams has got it all tied up, but just for a moment, and then Mark Laram finds that little bit of extra as they come off the second corner, and as they go down the back straight, hits the front, and to be quite honest, Lee Adams doesn't really see which way he goes.
Well, it's all going well for Britain, but the Czechs, as Sam Malenko suggested, springing a bit of a surprise and well in contention here in these conditions. The lineup for heat number 8 on the inside, Robert Barth goes for Germany. Alice Drimmel for the Czech Republic, gate 2. Lee Richardson for the very difficult third gate for Great Britain in the blue helmet colours. And Jason Crump, well, he goes from the outside where Mark Laram won the last heat, but we know Jason Crump is capable of winning for just about any gate position. What a meeting we have here. It may be the World Cup. It is the World Cup.
It's getting good now, isn't it? It's getting really good. No, it's fantastic stuff. Czech Republic certainly aren't here just to make the numbers up. They really are putting their best foot forward. Certainly Brel and Drimmel have looked really good.
Czechs well and truly bouncing here tonight. Heat number 8. There's Jason Crump, the man in the red helmet colours from gate 4 for Australia. Remember, Australia red, Britain are blue. Away they go, 1 and 2. But Crump taken wide there. Man coming through on the inside is Alice Drimmel. But round goes the man in blue, Lee Richardson. A tremendous ride for Lee Richardson. Richardson, who held Jason Crump at bay, took Alice Dribble in his course, and now Lee Richardson, the commentary rider, is showing his true worth here, down that back straight, going wider where there's grit. Crump is now going to go by Dribble as well, and these two will fight out the final 2 laps.
Superb ride from Lee Richardson on the first lap. They got away from gate 3, which is not favoured at all, and we're seeing a tremendous race for second place at the moment, with Dribble and Crump really going at it neck and neck, and Crump does it.
Crump goes through into second place, a lap and a quarter to go. Now he'll set out in pursuit of Lee Richardson, but this Sheffield track is living up to expectations, providing some splendid racing, and down the back straight goes Lee Richardson. Once again, it will be the 3rd race won by a Brit tonight. They're doing their team proud, and the man in blue, Lee Richardson, takes the checkered flag. Jason Crump for Australia, 2nd in red. 3rd in white is Alice Dribble for the Czech Republic. But the crowd, the Union Jacks, the crosses of St George, they're waving them with a vengeance here at the Allerton Stadium tonight, because Britain is ruling supreme. Commonwealth Games in Manchester, Rule Britannia it may be, land of hope and glory perhaps tonight here at Allerton.
Don't get too carried away, Tony. It's only halfway through the meeting, but certainly that was a superb ride from Lee Richardson there.
Lee Richardson, 3 points for Great Britain. Australia 2, Jason Crump. The Czech Republic 1 is Alice Dribble. Germany's Robert Barth struggling somewhat, but the Brits are enjoying this tonight. They're 4 points ahead of Australia, 5 ahead of the Czech Republic, and Germany tailing in at the back. Anybody's beating.
Here we go again, gate 3, not been good tonight, but Lee Richardson, somehow he makes it work. He gets that bike hooked up. He's in front now. Here he is, Jason Crump on the outside. Lee Richardson runs for the dirt on the outside and cuts the nose off of Jason Crump. Dribble's in front, but Lee Richardson's not done with. Gets his wheels in line early, flies underneath Dribble as they go into turn 3, hits the dirt on the outside. He knows where he wants to be. Dribble here putting him back under pressure. Crumpy back in 3rd place at the moment, which was a surprise, but you know that he's not going to give up. But what a superb first lap from Lee Richardson, superb.
Mark Duram, one of the men of the moment, is with Jonathan Green in the pits.
Yeah, I'm here with Mark Duram, and obviously Lee Richardson, a great ride from him and an excellent ride by yourself. Have you guys found it? Have you found the key to tonight's track, do you think?
Well, it's starting to dry out a bit now, but obviously it's really slippery underneath, so it's going to be hard going, but it's just a case of going out there and racing it, I think, and not thinking about it too much.
You must be happy with the way you started, though, the whole team.
So far, yeah, it's good, but we're only just halfway, not even halfway through, so I ain't going to say nothing.
Right, we won't get too excited. We've done this before. We'll let you get back to it. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
So, great night so far, anyway, and like he says, let's not get overexcited. It's only halfway over. Back to you.
It's a long way from halfway over. It's only a 3rd way over as we move on to now to heat number 9. The man in yellow and black there is Matthias Kruger, as the Germans try desperately to get on the points tally. 3 of their riders yet to score. Mr. Kruger is one of those yet to get off the mark. The man in blue there is Joe Screen, going to the outside gate this time for the Brits. Familiar zebra-coloured machine there. On the inside for the Czech Republic, their late replacement Thomas Topinka. A reminder that Tony Spa broke a leg in practice this morning, and the Coventry riders come in his place. Matthias Kruger goes for Germany from gate 2. Ron Sullivan, surprisingly beaten in his first outing, into 3rd place, goes from the unfavoured gate 3, although we have seen some people do it.
Oh, Lee Richardson got away from there, didn't he? Did superbly well.
And Joe Screen, of course, goes from the outside. This will be tough.
Yeah, it will be tough, no question about it, but Joe Screen certainly looked up for it in his first ride. Let's see what he can do here against Sullivan.
Away goes the starting marshal, up by the taste very quickly, and it's Topinka that picks it up early on. Round the outside, though, goes Joe Screen, and he comes from just down the road at Chesterfield. They've come here to cheer him, and Joe Screen now is in the lead, going wide, picking up grit, being tracked by Ryan Sullivan. Back in 3rd place is Thomas Topinka. Sullivan takes in, right at the back is Kruger, but what an effort here. It is British night by far. Joe Screen out front.
First corner from Joe Screen, got the bike hooked up, went swooped round the outside. Here we go for 2nd place. Ryan Sullivan through into 2nd place, but no problems for Joe Screen out front at the moment. It really does look like the Great Britain guys have got this track weighed up, Tony.
Interested to watch Joe Screen's line there on your screen, because he's going wider and wider, picking up dirt, picking up grip and picking up speed. Ryan Sullivan with a lap to go isn't done yet. He's just 5 lengths behind Joe Screen at the moment, but Screen is sticking to his line. Sullivan making ground, but Screen goes away. It's all on the final bend between these front 2. Joe Screen for Britain in blue, Ryan Sullivan for Australia in red. Screen is going to hold him off, but just does. In 2nd place in red for Australia, Ryan Sullivan. 3rd in white is Thomas Topinka. A tremendous night for the Brits so far, but tactical substitutions could shortly come into play. Not quite yet. Remember, a team has to be 6 points behind the leaders. It's not that yet, but Joe Screen, who came second first time out, has now won a heat, and he's won it from the outside gate. And that will delight his fans from Chesterfield just down the road. But there is Joe Screen winning by a couple of bike lengths for the man in red there. Ron Sullivan, the flying Australian. And Sullivan has had 2 rides, been beaten in both of them. We didn't quite expect that. The official result, Joe Screen for Britain, 3 race points. Australia, 2 for Ron Sullivan. Thomas Stopinka for the Czech Republic, 1. Germany continued to struggle. The progressive total shows Britain on 21, Australia on 16, the Czech Republic on 14, and Germany on 3. The Czechs could bring in a tactical substitute. Now they are 6 points or more behind.
Here we go again with Joe Screen from the outside. We're looking at his bike accelerating into the first corner again. He makes a great start on that outside. We've seen 1 or 2 boys do that, but Screen, did it better than most. He looks like he's got well in front of Ryan Sullivan. Sullivan didn't get away from that gate 3 at all very well. And Joe Screen, he's now out front. Screen, he loves this place. It suits his way of riding. He's got the bike all hooked up down that back straight. And just for a moment here, Thomas Stopinka rounds up Ryan Sullivan. Sullivan not really getting the bike set up dead right early doors, and certainly struggling to find some grip and speed in his first 2 rides, but we don't care. Joe Screen's out front and doing his stuff. Here we see them as they come into this last bend here, and Joe Screen just covers that inside because Sullivan was starting to put some pressure on.
In the pits, Jonathan Green has with him the mighty Joe Screen.
Yeah, I tell you what, everybody's on and up at the moment. Well done again. You guys have obviously been talking. What have you found out about this track? Because you're getting the better of it at the moment.
I don't know, we're just getting off the start and doing clean first corners. You know, I didn't make a good start in the first one, but I knew I was quicker than Crumpy. I just made a mistake on that bend, but if I knew I got off the start, I knew Ryan wouldn't have got me, but it's very hard, you know. Ryan's flying in the moment, and I knew I had a race and half when I made the start. I thought I just have to keep going, and made a few mistakes, but I got across that winning line in the first place.
But you're taking it to them, that's what we want to see.
Yeah, it's hard work out there, you know. I think the rain's really helped me. You know, I'm a grass track rider, and with a lot of dirt, it's helping me.
Right, we're going to get to the next heat. Thanks very much, Joe Screen. Let's get back to you guys.
Heat 10, a direct repeat of Heat 5, although they're in different gate positions. This time Sean Wilson goes from the outside. Todd Wiltshire, the Aussie, who won the previous meeting of these 4, he goes from the troubled gate 3. On the inside in white is Tony Casper. Stefan Mell for Germany goes from gate 2. The fast-starting Todd Wiltshire for Australia is in red and does it once again. Sean Wilson will go round the outside on a track he knows like the back of his hand. He goes by 1. He's going to go by 2 in a minute. Australian is bolted to the back by Tony Casper, and now Sean Wilson takes on Todd Wiltshire. Wiltshire holds him at bay, which allows Tony Casper to get away. But now Wiltshire,
great move from Wiltshire.
Under pressure there. Oh, ding-dong, battle down that back straight.
Fantastic first lap. There, 2 boys on the inside, Casper and Wiltshire really battling out, but Wilson's not giving in, trying to generate some speed from the inside track there. But Wiltshire's hit the front, Casper in second. And come on, Sean Wilson, what can he do now?
A reminder, Todd Wiltshire, the Australian in the red helmet colours. The man in second place in white for the Czech Republic is the latest Czech champion, Tony Casper. Wilson, the Sheffield rider, in third place. A lap and a quarter to go. Can Sean Wilson make progress on Casper? Probably not now, as the racing line moves wider and wider. But look at it! Oh, he nearly made a mistake by Casper, almost to nail him through. Round this top bend, that battle in second place. A tremendous one here. Wilson will have another go, but he can't quite make it, and in red it's won by Todd Wiltshire. Second place in white is Tony Casper, and Sean Wilson has to be content with third place in blue. Only the third place the Brits have had. It is quite a battle, but Todd Wiltshire has closed the gap now by 2 points on the Brits. The Czechs are still very much in contention. That opportunity for a tactical substitution still availing itself to them, but at the moment Australia 3 through Todd Wiltshire. Tony Casper 2 from the Czech Republic. Sean Wilson 1 in that fighting display in third place for the Brits. And the progressive total shows Britain on 22, Australia 19, the Czechs 16 and Germany 3, and the Czechs are 6 behind, so could use a tactical substitute. You have to be 6 behind the leaders to have the chance.
Here we see it again. There's Tony Casper, drops the clutch from the inside, makes that inside start work really well for him. And at this moment, he's got the start all under control. He looks at the first corner, lets the bike run across the first turn. Here he is in the middle of the first turn. Sean Wilson there in the top of your picture, just trying to get that run round the outside, but just gets squeezed out here because Todd Wiltshire makes a good move as they come off the first corner. Casper running for the outside. Wiltshire there, just making his bike work, nearly runs into the back of Tony Casper as they squeeze up against the fence as they run into turn 3. There's Wilson, desperately trying to get under Todd Wiltshire, but here we see Todd Wiltshire out front. Wilson putting a lot of pressure on Casper, but just to Novell, there he is trying to make a long straight of it, but Casper's aware of it, pinches his nose off as they turn into the last corner for the last time. And great ride from Todd Wiltshire again.
Well, a tremendous World Cup meeting here at Sheffield. The crowd, each and every one of up to 5,000, seem to be thoroughly enjoying themselves. They've had 10 heats. We have 24 in total. The rest will follow.
Live from the Millennium Stadium, the curtain raiser to a new season. Double winners Arsenal look to continue where they left off when they face Premiership runners-up Liverpool. Both sides aim to grab a psychological victory and become the first winners of the FA Community Shield. A new name, but the same game. The McDonald's FA Community Shield. Arsenal-Liverpool next Sunday at 1, live on Sky Sports 1.
Everything's going to be fine.
I just want to make sure. Hello? Hi, Mrs. Clark. I'll just go check. Yep. It's fine.
I only paid £300 for this flight. You?
Don't go anywhere until you've been to Teletext Holidays on ITV1 page 200, the web and interactive on your Sky remote.
Join us as Great Britain lead the opening round of the Speedway World Cup. But if you're a football fan too, then we've more live football coming up for you next week. On Wednesday night, it's Spurs against Celtic in a pre-season friendly. That's live at 7:30 on Sky Sports 1. Then on Thursday, we've live coverage of the Women's FA Community Shield, Arsenal against Fulham. And on Friday, the new season of the Bundesliga gets underway with Borussia Dortmund against Hertha Berlin. Our live coverage of the Football League gets underway next weekend, next Saturday. Walsall against Ipswich, live from 5:30 on Sky Sports 2. And next Sunday, Bradford against Wolverhampton at 4:30 on Sky Sports 1. Also next Sunday, the FA Community Shield, Arsenal against Liverpool, live from 1 o'clock on Sky Sports 1. There it is then, the boys are back on track for Heat 11, and we can rejoin our commentators, Kelvin Tatum and Tony Millard.
Football's World Cup may have been exciting. Speedway's World Cup is matching it here tonight. We've had 10 heats. This is Heat 11. On the inside, Joe Screen for Brit goes from Gate 1. Gate 2, Jason Lyons for Australia, who struggled first time out and second time out, finished last. Bahumel Brahel for the Czech Republic is going like a bomb and goes from Gate 3. Robert Bath goes from the outside and Kelvin Tatum alongside me. The rain is starting to come down.
It's going to make it very greasy on the inside. It could well benefit the guys around the outside in the first corner.
Here they go, almost rolling on the inside. Joe Screen, and it worked for him. He anticipated the start. And Joe Screen for Britain out front. But the man making ground round the outside from the back is Robert Bath. Back in second place, Jason Lyons. Struggling on the conditions. But Joe Screen, sometimes talked about as the best all-round motorcyclist in Britain, is benefiting by the conditions and stretching his lead.
Great start from the inside there, Screeny, really making Gate 1 there. Tremendous battle here for second place between Robert Bath and Jason Lyons. No quarter being given there. Bath running right round the outside. Tremendous effort there, but Lyons isn't giving in.
It will help Britain if Jason Lyons stays back, but he's gaining a well now, and he would take Bath wide, as we see there. Bath will try and come back on the inside, but neither of them is catching Joe Screen. Robert Bath riding well. Lyons goes by him now on the inside. Tremendous battle into the final lap. They won't catch the immaculate Joe Screen in front of this pair, but they are having a ding-dong battle, and Robert Bath is the better of the German riders at the moment. But Joe Screen looks to be the best of the lot, and Joe Screen is going to win his second race of the night in blue. A brilliant ride by Joe Screen. Second place, a surprise to the Germans ahead of the Australian Jason Lyons in third place. And this meeting, well, I wonder how many more pages will be turned before we get to the end of the final chapter. Joe Screen here winning heat 11 in blue. A second place and 2 first places for Joe Screen to delight the crowd, many of whom come from just down the road where he does at Chesterfield. And Joe Screen is very, very popular here at Allerton Stadium, and even more so after that heat victory for Britain.
Yeah, superb effort from Joe Screen there, particularly from the inside, and it is really quite greasy now, the track, and he did superbly well to hang on there for a great victory.
Well, a win indeed for Joe Screen, ahead of in second place Robert Bath. Third in red was Jason Lyons. That's how it finished, Kelvin.
Here we see Joe Screen on the inside, drops the clutch, the front wheel's in the air, the bike hooks up and he's away, and he's really made a superb start. He makes a nice run into the first corner. He's well clear of the rider in red there, Jason Lyons. Look for the German there, Robert Bath around the outside. He finds a lot of speed as he goes down the back straight now. Jason Lyons opts to go on the inside, but Bath keeps the bike running. Here he makes a nice run round the outside, but Screen is away. He's got plenty of fresh air between the two boys who are battling out for second place here. Jason Lyons has suddenly been very much aware that the German's giving him a lot of pressure. But here we see Bart and Jason Lyons neck and neck, almost shoulder to shoulder as they came into that corner. That really is tough stuff there. Bart right out by the kickboards on the fence there, but he does hold on for that second place, and that really was a great effort from the German because he doesn't ride in this country very often.
The official result then of heat 11. Now we see Great Britain's Joe Screen the winner. Robert Bath for Germany, surprise second place. Jason Lyons relegated to third. The Czech Republic struggling in that one. But look at this now. It's pouring down with rain, but the progressive totals say Britain 5 points in front of Australia. The Czechs on 16 could use a tactical substitution. Germany have 5. That's how it stands as we go into heat number 12. And that man there is Lee Richardson going from gate 2 in the blue helmet colours for Britain. And Lee Richardson already a heat winner to his name and a second place.
These sort of conditions, sorry Tony, just to interrupt, these sort of conditions are absolutely the worst as a rider. You're getting rain in your goggles, they're misting up, the track's changing every second that you're out there, and it really is going to be tough going now.
I can tell you it's pouring down, and they have to reach heat 20 before a result can be declared here tonight. Work to do for everybody. That man in yellow and black there, Matthias Kruger. The man in the blue helmet colours, Lee Richardson, going for Britain. In white in the background there we see Lucas Drimmel. It's getting very, very wet indeed. And the man in red, Lee Adams for the Australians. And Adams, so far, surprisingly, has yet to win a heat in 2 rides. This is heat number 12. The Australians providing the 3 heat winners so far. Away they go. Adams from the outside has work to do, but the Brits are in front again. And Lee Richardson in the blue helmet colour takes them down the back straight. Moving into second place is Lee Adams for Australia. For Germany in third place, Matthias Kruger in the yellow helmet colours. In white, back at the rear is Lucas Drimmel. But look at Lee Richardson. What a ride he's having here. We've seen him many times on Sky, but he almost went into the fence there.
Yeah, absolutely world-class first lap there from Lee Richardson. Got away from gate 2. His bike's working really well, and he's right round the outside, sticking his back wheel in the grip there. Lee Adams really has got no answer for that at all, and we saw this last week, Tony, that this guy really is coming of age this season.
Well, he's picked up his line now for that first lap. It was almost a question of wall of death round the boards, but he's going wide now. He's going into the dry dirt, cutting back now inside to hold off with a lap to go. The Australian Lee Adams, work to do now, but going wide again is Lee Richardson. He's all over the track. He cuts back inside. He leaves Adams for dead there down that back straight. They're slowing up now. Conditions are appalling, but certainly the victory is sweet for Lee Richardson in blue for Britain. Second in red for the Australians is Lee Adams, and third in white for the Czech Republic is Lucas Drimmel. And despite the weather, it may be an appalling summer, but here in the World Cup, it's a bright night for the Brits. That man in particular, Lee Richardson, has got 8 points out of 9, 2 heat wins and a second place in his ride so far. And as the rain pours down, they don't mind, because their team, Great Britain, is in front. The official winner, Lee Richardson, on 3 points. Australia 2, the Czech Republic 1, and it continues because the Czech Republic could have used a tactical sub in any of the last 3 races with that deficit of 6 points or more. Great Britain now. Australia could use a tactical substitute should they wish. And the Czech Republic 17 and Germany. All three could use a tactical because they're more than 6 behind Great Britain.
Here we go, that boy again, Lee Richardson, making these starts work for him tonight. He's made starts from gate 2 and gate 3 where nobody seems to be doing it, but his working beautifully. Lee Adams on the outside, but here's Lee Richardson, really got that nice smooth style, very technical on the bike, neat and tidy, hugging the inside, thinks that that's the shortest way, that's the best way. Really read conditions very cleverly there. He'll let the bike run across the straight as it comes off the corner to block any move around the outside, but Lee Adams really isn't in the hunt here. Martin Krug just shows for a moment. Lee Adams decides, I'm not going to go for the run, but Lee Richardson now's let his bike run all the way out towards the fence in this 3rd and 4th corner, out in the dirt, bike laid over, as again he's a nice, neat and tidy. Terrific style there from Lee Richardson, and from that moment on had the race completely under control. Really looking good, and as I said earlier, this guy really is coming of age this season.
Well, Lee Richardson is in the pits with Jonathan Green.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, obviously you were so pumped up on Thursday, and now it's paying off. 8 points out of 9 so far. You must be pleased with it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying myself. It's starting to rain now. We've had like thunderstorms all day, so conditions are a little bit tricky. You've got to make starts to it, which I'm doing. I'm really enjoying it. You know, when you've got a Union Jack on your chest, it changes your whole outlook on it.
Well, talking of the weather, is it a worry? You've got to get to 20 heats before it's a result, and right now Britain are flying.
Yeah, that's the only problem, you know. We've got to get, like you say, we've got to get to 20 heats. So, as long as our boys can keep going and popping out the start, that's the main thing now, because it's very difficult to come in the back with all the rain.
What's been the key? Because you guys are popping out of the start. Has Sean Wilson been helping out on that?
Yeah, obviously he's a track specialist here, and he knows it, knows it inside out. So he's been giving us little tips during the day, and we're all pulling together. We're such a good unit here, and it's a shame we haven't got Scotty, but Javi's doing a tremendous job for him. So we're on fire.
It's good to know. England are on fire. Great Britain are on fire. Back to you.
Well, they have a job to be on fire in the rain. On the inside, Mark Laram, gate 2, Thomas to Pinker, Jason Crump from gate 3 on the outside, Robin Kessler, totally left at the tapes to Pinker, but another flyer by Mark Laram. He's getting Jason Crump in red.
Stop it, Tony.
Yes, the referee has stopped it. An unsatisfactory start. He will get them back. I'm sure he will believe that something went wrong in the starting gate, I think.
Well, I don't think so. I think Thomas Pinker tried to make an anticipated start there. He probably feels if he doesn't get in front, he's got no chance. But to be quite honest, there we see it again. He drops the clutch and then pulls it again and is completely off balance and misses it. Here we see him roll, misses it. Then, to be honest, in those situations, I don't know why the referee doesn't let it go, because, to be honest, the only guy that's really lost out is the guy that's trying to get an advantage.
Kelvin, let me tax you with this, because the Australians could have used a tactical substitute. They can use a tactical joker and get double points. Jason Crump's in this one while they're 6 behind. Yeah. Why haven't they tried that?
Well, Jason Crump's 3rd in the World Championship. I just think that it's a scenario where there's no way you're going to pull Jason Crump out of a race. He has been riding very well, but certainly probably the bike gets certainly Jason Crump on a clean bike here certainly doesn't feel conditions are changing very quickly. He may well be going to a setup that's slightly softer to try and find some more grip. But as regards playing the tactical joker, Tony, I think it may be slightly too early. They may well be waiting to try and do that a little bit later.
Well, of course, they don't have to pull Crump out to do it. He can be a tactical joker in his own ride, which is what I'm suggesting there, which will get him double points.
Yeah, they may well be waiting, obviously, trying to use a better starting position.
The inside is occupied by Mark Laram for Britain in the blue helmet colours. Thomas to Pinker in a white. Jason Crump goes in red from gate 3. Robin Kessler, the German, from the outside. Remember the tactical substitute rule and the tactical joker. If you are 6 points behind the leaders, you may substitute a rider as a tactical substitute, or one rider may take a joker ride, which means he gets double points. Yeah. There are the 2 Brits watching, Sean Wilson and Gary Havelock.
I would suggest, regarding the tactical joker, Tony, I would think that the Australian team manager will wait until maybe Jason Crump's on gate 1 or gate 4 when he feels more inclined that he can grab those extra points. Right now, Jason Crump on gate 3 hasn't been working that well. He's obviously decided with Lorem on gate 1 to wait and try and play that joker a little bit later.
We'll see what happens. He's 13, unlucky for some. Mark Laram again gets a flyer on the inside. Jason Crump is boxed into last place at the moment, and that's a surprise. Down the outside in yellow goes Robbie Kessler on a track very familiar to him. Crump in the red helmet colours for Australia moves into 3rd place. Laram goes wider and wider, but still leads at the end of the first lap, and Laram is having a brilliant night. If he can hold it here, Britain will be well and truly in command.
Fantastic first lap from Mark, makes that gate 1 work for him. Really smart around the first corner like Lee Richardson. Now he's moved out out to the dirt right by the fence, making it work for him. Kessler in second place there, holding Jason Crump at bay. Crumpy seems to be struggling with conditions at the moment.
Mark Aram certainly not struggling out front. These two are battling here. The man in yellow, Robbie Kessler, holding off one of the world's best, Jason Crump, in second place with a lap and a quarter to go. These two are really battling, but Mark Aram is way out in front. In white, Thomas Topinka trying to make ground, but Mark Aram is stretching his lead down that back straight. But these two in picture here, in yellow, Robbie Kessler. Crump has another go, desperate for the points. The crowd are going wild with the racing they're getting here, but Mark Aram is going to win this, and Mark Aram continues as Crump is beaten into third place by Robbie Kessler, who's changed something there to make it even better for him now on a track with which he's familiar. But it doesn't get much better than Mark Aram there in the blue helmet colours to stretch the lead for Britain. And Kelvin Tatum, who captained Britain to their last World Cup victory in 1989 alongside me, is going absolutely wild. Not as wild as many of the fans around us up here in the restaurant. Britain the winner through Mark Aram. 3 race points for Mark Aram, his second win of the night. Robbie Kessler for Germany in second place. Jason Crump beaten into third place. Not often you could say that. And the progressive scoreline now shows Britain way out in front on 31, Australia 23, the Czech Republic 17, and Germany 7. And all could now use tactical substitutes should they wish. And I just believe the Czechs may.
Here we see it again. Mark Loram making that gate 1 work for him here again. He looks across, but he's clear. Robbie Kessler makes a decent start. Crumpy caught in traffic, just can't find the grip at the moment. That range made the track so greasy, but Mark Loram doesn't care about that. He's out front, has another look over his shoulder, knows that he's clear, allows the bike to run for the dirt. Kessler looks like for a moment he's going to find the way past Loram, but runs out of steam in the middle of the corner. Loram there, brave, right round the outside, looks $1 million out there, hits the dirt again, and he's gone. Crumpy struggling back in third place, can't believe that he's in that situation and just can't find the speed. Here we see Mark. Great picture of Mark as he goes across to the first corner, has a good look at Kessler as they go into there, sits back on the bike, lets the bike run round the inside in the first corner, and as they come off the first corner he'll let it run down the back straight and hit the dirt as he goes into the third corner.
Well, the mastermind of the British side is in the pits. That's Neil Middleditch with Jonathan Green.
Yeah, I can hear the butterflies in his stomach beating right now because I know this is awful for you, but it's going well. This is what the start you wanted, but you worried about the rain?
Yeah, that's the trouble. It's starting to get very slippery now, but the boys are just fantastic. I mean, they're really pulling together. It's a real team effort, and so we can keep it up. Long way to go yet.
Great starts as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, that's important. Make the starts here. I mean, you can just get out there and see some clear air and away you can go.
What do you think about psychology for Australia? Because they've been taken by surprise tonight, surely.
Yeah, I think so, and I think they were sort of fully expecting to come here and just trounce us. But as I say, you know, they don't know the English spirit, and we're fighting.
Can we get to 20?
I hope so. I really hope so.
Fingers crossed down here. Back to comms.
Yes, as we move on to heat 14, Jonathan Green interpreting those regulations. We have to complete 20 heats to get a result tonight. The meeting's scheduled for 24, but if we reach 20 and we're in front, well, who knows? In this one, it's going to be tough for that man in blue, Gary Havelock. Ollie Olsen, of course, the manager of the Grand Prix and International World Cup Series. If he has anything to do with it, we'll get 25.
Yes, I think the likelihood of it is probably very strong, Tony. He won't mess about now.
The line-up for heat sees Joachim Kugelmann on the inside for Germany. Gary Havelock, the British captain, goes from gate 2. It's Alice Drimmel for the Czechs, gate 3. Ron Sullivan goes from the outside.
Yeah, Sullivan has been out of sorts so far tonight, hasn't he? Hasn't looked like his normal self. Struggling with conditions, can't find the grip off the starts. Let's see what Gary can do this time off of gate 2.
Well, they're all leaving the jokers, the tacticals later. The mathematics are going to get complicated when they all come in. The tapes fly up, and again, Gary Havelock will stop and look on the outside. Sullivan round the outside, and Havelock picks it up and still holds him off. Gary Havelock in the blue helmet colours for Britain. Round the outside goes Ron Sullivan in red. Another battle back in third place. Alice Drimmel at the back in yellow. Kugelmann for the Germans, but now a good ride by Ron Sullivan, who heads Gary Havelock.
Yeah, super start from Sullivan, but just got caught out. Havelock went right around the inside, but he got a lot of speed down the back straight. Sullivan hung it right on the fence and just generated enough speed, and right now it looks like Gary settled for second place. Conditions are deteriorating, it really is difficult, but fair play to the riders, they're holding up well.
I wonder if the Brits have got a strong enough lead, a big enough lead now. Down that back straight goes Ron Sullivan, and Ron Sullivan stretches it out. Ahead of in second place, Gary Havelock. Havelock in the blue helmet colours would hold on for that second place in front of Alice Drimmel, and they are stretching out. Very little overtaking in this, a shape processional heat 14, about the only heat we've had like this. That's the distance between second and third in your screen. But that man there, Ryan Sullivan in the red helmet colours, he takes the checkered flag down by some distance from Gary Havelock in blue for Britain. In third place in white is Alice Drimmel for the Czech Republic. And once again, for Kugelmann, the Germans are struggling and now only have 7 points now with 14 heats gone. But that man, Ryan Sullivan, has gained some ground for the Australians, and they're in a position any minute to introduce a tactical substitute should they wish, or double Todd Wiltshire's score. Australia, 3 points, Ryan Sullivan. Great Britain, 2 points, Gary Havelock. Alice Drimmel, 1 point for the Czech Republic. And remember, it's a repeat of heats 5 and 10 to come with Wiltshire in command. Could he double his points in this one? Britain lead at the moment by 7 from Australia. The Czech Republic trail on 18, Germany on 7.
Yeah, here we see Joe Screen actually, but certainly, Gary Havelock, they will look the same in those suits, but Gary makes a good start off with gate 2, hugs the inside there. We look at Ryan Sullivan, he goes completely the other way, he goes right round the outside. At this moment in time, it looks like Gary's well out in front. Looking at the start again, Gary off gate 2 there, makes a good start in front of the German Kugelmann. Gary decides to go for the curb right round the inside. Sullivan thinks, right, I can't get down there. I'm going to see if I can squeeze down the outside here. Gary just gets a little bit out of shape as they enter the third turn, but Sullivan generates that speed, decides I'm going to have to put it right up by the fence. There's maybe a touch of grip there, but so much further. Just as they come over the start and finish line, he gets in front. And to be honest, from then on, it all settles down. Conditions are very difficult indeed. But another good effort from the Great Britain team there, the captain Havelock doing us proud here again. And for a man that didn't really get the call up till the last minute, really is riding extremely well. Sullivan did look better in that race, hasn't looked at ease with the track so far this evening, but he came out in that race and certainly got a much better start and rode a very high and wide line in that race and hit the front and generated the speed that we're used to seeing him do in the Grand Prix.
As we move on to heat 15, that man in the yellow helmet colours is Stefan Mell for Germany. Coming up to tapes in the white.
Will they play a joker here, Tony, do you think?
Well, I'm just waiting to see, and certainly I think tactically I might have done so, but at the moment we've heard nothing. Todd Wiltshire's the man in red we saw there, who's won both the races between the number 5s so far. There's the lineup. Stefan Mell on the inside for Germany in yellow. Tony Kasper goes for the Czech Republic in white, gate 2. Sean Wilson on his home track as the rain pours down, goes in blue for Britain. Todd Wiltshire's on the outside from gate 4, but Todd Wiltshire, the way he gates, if he gets into the lead on this circuit, well, he can hold it.
Yeah, he could do. I just wondered whether the Aussies might just have thrown the joker in. Don't guarantee with this weather that we're going to get to 24. It might well be that the manager might well have decided to have a go now, but maybe he's waiting till heat 20.
Well, heat 15 this is. Remember, they've got to complete 5 more for this to count. Up by the tapes and away they go. Wiltshire gets a flyer on the outside, but will skid wide. Coming through on the inside in white is Tony Kasper. The Brit in second place is Sean Wilson. There's no space at all. Wilson holds him off. Wiltshire will go wide. At the back, Stefan Mell is way out of his depth in this one. But Wiltshire, a battle, 1, 2, 3. He stays on, it'll be a miracle.
Unbelievable move from Wiltshire. How he stayed on the bike round the outside, and as they entered the first turn for the second time, Tony Kasper couldn't believe he had one side and Wilson the other. Fantastic racing.
Wow, what a night we're having here. Going through the inside, Sean Wilson is cheered on by the Sheffield fans. It's Todd Wiltshire in red for Australia. Sean Wilson, the home rider in the blue helmet colours, is going for Sheffield. A lap and a bit to go. Wiltshire stretches it now into the final lap. Wilson may be content to hang on and not court danger, I'm sure, but down the back straight now. Todd Wiltshire has won heat 5, he's won heat 10, and now he looks like winning heat 15. As we predicted, it's crucial for the Aussies. Wiltshire's performance here tonight. And in the red helmet colours, Todd Wiltshire heads home. The man in blue for Britain is Sean Wilson. Back in third place in white is Tony Kasper for the Czech Republic. And well,
how did they all stay up? I cannot believe it. As they entered that first turn for the second time, how they stayed up. It's like a skating rink out there, that track. Fantastic race.
Well, a tremendous race. The official result shows Todd Wiltshire the winner in red for the Australians. In second place, Great Britain's Sean Wilson, 2 points. Tony Kasper for the Czech Republic, 1. Germany's Stefan Mell, 3 rides and 3 ducks so far. But the progressive totals now with 15 heats gone. We get a chance to have a look at this now. And Great Britain certainly remain in the lead on 35. The Australians have 29, the Czech Republic have 19, and Germany 7. There's a lot to do. After the break, you've got 9 more heats.
What's new, pussycat? What's new? The new Jaguar S-Type.
How does Evian make
I've got over 100 different tunes, and he keeps playing the same one over and over and help me.
What does your phone say about you?
Jenny, your dinner's ready.
I just need to speak to Auntie Maria. Hiya, how's things?
Buongiorno, Jenny, come stai? Va bene?
I don't know, where is everybody?
Oh,
dinner, love.
I'm coming now. You must come out here. Oh, it looks great. Quite a community on AOL, isn't it?
Good job I'm only cooking for the family.
With 23 channels of entertainment and information, you and your family can feel at home with AOL. Call now for your completely free trial.
Darling, can we try a little role play tonight?
Role play?
Let's pretend that you...
Okay. Good evening, madam. What can I get you?
Oh, a pint of Poddingtons, please.
Coming up.
What's that?
It's my bump.
That was lovely, darling.
It's a bit gorgeous.
Heat 16 and away we go on the inside in yellow. The German Robbie Kessler cutting through on the inside for Britain. It's Joe Screen yet again. The Australian Lee Adams in the red helmet colours is now coming up the inside. Another fantastic race under appalling conditions, but Kelvin Tatum, Joe Screen is looking brilliant.
Fantastic first corner from Joe Screen. Kessler made a mistake there. He went far too wide, allowed all the track for everybody else to get underneath him. But Screening, and Lee Adams has got to the front.
Lee Adams squeezed inside Joe Screen, but Screen will come again. Perhaps, well, he must be very, very careful. But he's done it. Joe Screen with half the race to go. Joe Screen heads Lee Adams of Australia. And if it carries on like this, the Australians face competing on Thursday in Peterborough and not straight through to the final. The Brits would go there. But Joe Screen with a lap and a quarter to go. The man in the blue helmet colours is going to extend Great Britain's lead in this one. Lee Adams in second place for Australia. The German in yellow is Robbie Kessler in third place. Alice Drimmel is tailed off in the back. They're going slower and slower. There's more and more water on the track. But Joe Screen isn't worried about that. And Joe Screen is going to win his third race of the night. Joe Screen takes it in blue for Britain. In red for Australia, that's Lee Adams. Third place in yellow Robbie Kessler for the Germans, and it continues to be a great night for Britain. And at the moment, they're not going to run out of heats. If they keep going, they're going to be through to the final on Saturday.
Let's keep going to Heat 20, Tony. That was a fantastic ride again from Joe Screen. Tremendous spirit around the first corner there. The conditions are awful, but they're not giving in. Robbie Kessler made a good start from the inside, but Joe Screen really did make a great move in the first turn.
Enough to give him victory and 3 race points ahead of Australia's Lee Adams 2, Robbie Kessler of Germany 1. Czech Republic this time pointless. And now the progressive totals show Britain in command, leading Australia by 7 points. The Czech Republic are back on 19 and now not challenging for second place. Germany on 8. Australia have work to do, but who knows what can happen in this.
Here we see, look at the rider on the inside here. Robbie Kessler makes a great start in front of Joe Screen, but decides for some reason that he's just going to go straight for the outside, but leaves all the track for the other 3 riders to get underneath him. Nearly pulls it back, but Lee Adams and Joe Screen sort of squeeze him as they enter the 3rd corner. Here we can see Joe Screen doesn't go for the dirt on the outside, tries to keep it low. He's decided that it's just too far out the dirt now, and makes the best of it. Now Lee Adams decides to go around the outside. Joe Screen's now giving a go to the outside, but it really is just too far, that dirt now. And just for a moment here, Lee Adams hits the front, but Screen, he just generates a little bit more power from somewhere. Here we see it again. Looks like Lee Adams has got this under control, but Screen is not going to give up. He's desperate for those 3 points. He doesn't want the Aussies to get back in front. And tremendous ride again as he powers around the outside of Lee Adams, and to get those vital 3 points in the bag for Great Britain.
While Great Britain on 38, Australia on 31, the Czechs on 19, and the Germans struggling on 8 now. But the Germans have brought in a tactical substitute as we move on to Heat 17. Robert Barth takes the place of Joachim Kugelmann.
Yeah, he did have a better ride last time out. He had a real dust-up with Jason Lyons.
Ryan Sullivan has come into the heat in place of Jason Lyons. At the moment, I'm hearing it as a tactical substitution and not necessarily a joker.
Right.
At the moment, but we'll have to see. Ryan Sullivan goes in a red for the Australians, replacing the struggling Jason Lyons. It is a joker. It's confirmed as a joker. Now, I should explain the regulations here. Ron Sullivan comes into this as a joker, which means his points will be doubled, and that could make a major impact on the meeting.
Yeah,
there's the joker.
That is crucial, because his team manager from Australia has decided that Ryan Sullivan had a much better ride last time. He's got the favoured inside start, and with Great Britain being stuck on the outside, it just could well put them right back in the match. This is double points here. Ryan Sullivan's points will count double.
And he goes from the inside gate there, as you see, with that joker right next to him. Robert Barth is a tactical substitute for the Germans. He doesn't get double points. He comes in because they're more than 6 behind. Thomas Topinka of the Czech Republic, gate 3. And Lee Richardson, the Brit who faces the challenge, goes from the outside.
Pressure on Lee Richardson again. We've seen him respond so well to pressure, and it could well be Robert Barth. Also keep an eye on him.
On the inside, away goes Ryan Sullivan, but Lee Richardson is doing the business, and Lee Richardson once again picking that wide bit of the track, will cut through on the inside. He's gone through like a knife through butter as Lee Richardson, but coming back well is Ryan Sullivan. It's a ding-dong battle here, and Sullivan is skidding all over the place with Richardson in pursuit.
Fantastic first corner from Lee Richardson, but while old Ryan Sullivan, he wasn't going to give it, and tucked back up the inside again, keeping his left foot down, trying to spray water, anything in his Lee Richardson's way. But right now it looks like the tactical joker's coming to fruition.
Yes, they're going to make it count with a vengeance, because this will count 6 points for this man, Ryan Sullivan, in front in the red helmet colours for Australia. They're allowed to do it because they're 6 or more points behind. They can count double. They can do it only once, but Ryan Sullivan is going to have just a lap to go to clinch those valuable 6 points and put his team back in contention ahead of Lee Richardson, who's doing his bit in second place. And the Brits are continuing to flourish, because there'll only be a 4-point advantage here to Australia in this one, and that won't be enough to put them in the lead. The checkered flag beats Ryan Sullivan in red for double points. Lee Richardson, second place in blue, gets 2 points. Third in white is Thomas Topinka for the Czech Republic. But an interesting race, and Neil Street, the Australian team manager, produced the joker well and truly to trump the opposition in that one, and that meant that Ron Sullivan gets 6 points with the use of that joker to close the gap for the Australians. In a
it's all on again now, Tony. It's all on again now. There's hardly anything in it. Only 3 points between the two teams, Australia and Great Britain. That really did work well for the Aussie team there. Ryan Sullivan really doing very well indeed.
Well, it certainly is. The 2 points to Richardson there gets him on to 40, but the 6 points for Australia, Ryan Sullivan. Great Britain 2 for Lee Richardson, 1 for the Czech Republic, Thomas Topinka, and Robert Barth for Germany fails to score. Those progressive totals now take Great Britain on to 40, Australia 3 points behind on 37, the Czech Republic have 20, and the Germans have 8. But the Australians back in contention and just 3 points behind the Brits with 17 heats gone, a 24-heat meeting.
Here we see Ryan Sullivan on the inside, rather. He gets a good getaway there. Lee Richardson also gets a decent start from the outside. Sullivan decides, right, I'm going to go right for the outside. But Lee Richardson, what a smart move here. Look at him right on the curb here and just comes from last to first. But he just drifts a little bit wide, and Sullivan reads the move and squeezes up the inside there. Fantastic racing considering how atrocious the conditions are. Just can't believe how much it's raining. But Ryan Sullivan, he would have had to, he's hit the front now, decides he's not going to go for the dirt this time. He's kept it right round the inside and trying to even spray a little bit of water up at his rider there. But here we see Sullivan again off the tapes, easily in front of Robert Barth on gate 2. Here we see Lee Richardson on the outside, but he disappears out of the picture here. Lee Richardson having a good look over his left shoulder, decides, right, I'm going to turn hard here, get up the inside and make a really long straight. And Sullivan's unaware of it at the moment, but any minute you're going to see Richardson coming to shot.
Well, there is another joker. This joker, we'll check who's playing this one at the moment. We'll have to find out here. I think it's probably the Czech Republic, but we'll find out in a moment.
It would make sense if it would be the Czech Republic. They're not that far away, but we don't quite know who it is yet, Tony. Let's hope we can find out before the race gets underway, but certainly it'll be a very interesting move. Could well be the Czechs, really. I would think it can only be them. I can't see the Germans are dead and buried as far as I'm concerned. I can't see them getting back in it. It has to be the Czech Republic, I would think, Tony, because it's the inside there. Bo Brel could take advantage of the inside. It is the Czech Republic. It's an ideal scenario now with them on the inside to take full advantage of it.
Yes, there's the lineup now as we look across there. On the inside is Bo Brahel going for double points for the Czechs. Jason Crump in red goes for Australia gate 2. Matthias Kruger goes for the Germans, but Gary Havelock is the Brit on the outside in the blue helmet colours. The Czech Republic desperately trying to make ground. Bo Brahel at the moment, of course, had a win early on, and Bo Brahel, one of the more impressive Czech riders tonight. But certainly here, as our starting marshal goes away, Brahel gets just the start he wants to. Could this help? Round the outside in blue goes Gary Havelock, but packing it in second place is Jason Crump. Havelock will have to challenge Crump now. The Australians are pecking away at that British lead, and anything can happen. Right at the back in yellow is Matthias Kruger, but Crump now riding safe and stretching his lead, getting into the front and challenging Bo Brahel. Brahel goes wide. Coming through in second place is Gary Havelock, but Brahel continues to go wide and will try to go round Jason Crump.
Tremendous ride here from Jason Crump up the inside, but Brahel hasn't given in. He's plugging away around the outside, but I think at this corner it's just too far to go. But Crumpy put a lot of pressure on Brahel at the end of that first lap and squeezed by, but Brahel's now decided he's going to give that best and has tucked back on the inside.
If it stays like this, there'll be just 1 point between the Brits and the Australians. Britain will be 1 in front, but Crump's going to take the heat victory with a lap to go. The Brit is Gary Havelock back in third place, split by Bo Brahel, who gets double points here as the Czechs try to get in contention and will look for that highest third place possibly. The points could be valuable, but round that top bend goes Jason Crump in the red helmet colours. Forget the time, it's a speedway race under appalling conditions, and Jason Crump wins it. In second place in white is Bo Brahel. Third in blue for the Brits there is Gary Havelock. The Germans again outclassed under difficult conditions, but now just 1 point separates the Brits and Australia, where Jason Crump has put them back in contention following Ryan Sullivan's win in the previous race. The result there of Heat 18 coming up now for you. It's Australia, Jason Crump 3 points, Mohamed Brahel doubling it with a joker for the Czech Republic. For Great Britain, Gary Havelock's single point there could prove vital in the final countdown. Matthias Kruger for Germany fails to score. The progressive totals, you see the picture there. Britain leads Australia by 1. The Czech Republic's on 24, way back in third place. Germany have 8. It's a 2-horse battle, but who's going to go direct to Peterborough on Saturday? We'll find out shortly.
Here we see again
Away they go from the tapes. Gary Havelock on the outside, really stranded there. It's so wet and slippery out there. Brell hits up front. Very good start from the inside working the best now. Crumpy doesn't panic. He decides that he's going to tuck in on the inside. Just keeps his foot over the inside there, but gets a good run up the inside. Brell's taken by surprise, thinks, well, I've got no choice now. I'm going to have to run for the dirt on the outside. Very nearly drops it. It's so greasy out there. Crumpy just keeps the bike right down on the inside. Wipes his goggles as they go over to start the second lap, and just for the moment now it looks like it's set fair. Brell does put a little bit of pressure back on as they come off this corner. He does generate a little bit of speed, but as you can see, the track is so wet now and greasy. Havelock desperately trying back in third place, but to no avail.
Kelvin, I have to say I've seldom seen Speedway raced under such conditions, but if anybody can produce the goods under these conditions, this man can. Mark Laram needs to win this. He faces Ryan Sullivan.
It's going to be tough, Tony, because Ryan Sullivan's coming from that inside start, and Mark's on gate 3. We desperately need to try and hang on for another couple of races, because I'm not sure if this is going to go the distance to heat 24, and if we're in front after 20 heats rather, we could win this meeting still.
Yes, I got a feeling that a stop after 20, but who knows? The Australians might wish to carry on. But this is a very important heat. If there's only going to be 2 more races, Mark Laram needs to finish in front of Ryan Sullivan to keep the British hopes alive.
Yeah, that's vital for Mark to try and pop out in front here. It's not going to be easy, but Mark has been in fantastic form this evening, and certainly he can do something. It will be very useful in this heat.
Ryan Sullivan for Australia in red from the inside. Robert Barth for Germany goes from gate 2 in yellow. Mark Laram, the Brit, from gate 3, not exactly a favoured gate on the outside. Lucas Drimmel in white goes for the Czech Republic.
Such a lottery now at this stage, isn't it? You know, with the rain falling, the track slippery, Tony, anything could happen out there, and it's so close, so close.
Well, they got some pretty big swimming bars in Sheffield. This is the biggest one here tonight. British Championships held in this city. Away goes Ryan Sullivan on the inside. Mark Laram's going to mount the challenge. He can come through. He's slightly squeezed there.
Oh,
round the outside. He
that
goes
was
down
tight.
to the back.
That was tight.
So, real problem for Lucas Drimmel, I think, at the back, tumbling there into the fence.
Yeah.
And our referee may have to stop this. They can't get Lucas Drimmel off the circuit, and conditions are now getting dangerous. Our referee is Mick Bates, who's a Brit. I hope he won't be accused of any favouritism to...
Did look like Mark Laram did give Lucas Drimmel a bit of a nudge as they went into the first corner there. But it's difficult for the riders now. Obviously, Drimmel looks like he's hurt his wrist. And I do hope that he hasn't got a serious injury, because conditions are very tricky indeed.
Well, we're going to see the replay, and our referee will probably watch it with us.
Here we see it. Sullivan's out front. Laram looks, bump. Does give him a bit of a nudge there. There's no question that he does just give him a nudge, but to be quite honest, conditions were conducive to Drimmel going down. I don't think if it was raining so hard that Drimmel would have gone down. I do believe that... oh, that's good news. We do hear from the referee that the ref's going to keep all 4 back in the rerun. I do think that Drimmel goes down, Tony, because it's so slippery out there. He does get a nudge from Mark Laram. It's hard, tough racing, but because it's so slippery, he just can't keep control of the bike.
On normal track conditions, I'm sure that would have been first bend bunching or whatever. He probably wouldn't have gone down, but, well, we're all going to race again.
Well, let's hope he can get back on his bike and take his place in the rerun.
I wonder what sort of swimmer Lucas Drimmel is under these conditions.
Is he a breaststroke, or do you think he's a freestyle man?
Well, we saw plenty of that over the last week or so.
Do you think he could challenge? Even Ian Thorpe might demonstrate his skills around here tonight.
I don't know who'll get the gold medal here tonight, but Heat 19 will be restarted, and we've done pretty well tonight. The guys in the studio, Sam Maleka, Chris Lewin, Keith Hewin, what about that?
Absolutely incredible, I've got to say. What a meeting this really is. I mean, I did say at the beginning of the show, creme de la creme as far as team sport is concerned, but we have seen a real to-in and fro in here. Sam, crucial tactical and joker there from Australia. Superb timing by Neil Street.
Absolutely. He waited to the last minute and put his best man forward to do that. And, I mean, Todd rode a great race to come around him whenever he was in the position where he wasn't, and he come in front. The whole Australian team has picked it back up again, and with Neil Street doing that joker with Ryan on the inside, great move.
I might be slightly biased here, but of course I feel like a substitution and a joker at the same time for the Australians was grossly unfair. I'm only joking, of course, Chris.
I agree with that.
I thought you might do. Heat 20, of course, they could call this race meeting off. So the fact is that the Britain have got to hang on. Team Great Britain have got to hang on, haven't they?
Yeah, these are vital races coming up now. You know, Mark's job is to obviously keep us ahead, but That was a tough first corner, but it was track conditions that caught young Drimolet out there. I don't think it's anything to do with Mark at all.
There's just 1 point in it. Team Great Britain are holding on at the front here. We have got 2 races left if they do stop this meeting at heat 20. So Britain just 1 point. Let's go back to the commentators now at trackside.
Ron Sullivan, Robert Barth, Bart Laram, Lucas Drimmel, as Keith says, 1 point in it. Britain 41, Australia 40, the Czechs 24, Germany 8 is the position now. If they completed 20 and 2 teams were level, would they have a ride-off? We'll have to investigate that in a moment. But this is the restart of heat 19, and conditions absolutely appalling. Away on the inside in red goes Ron Sullivan. Bart Laram will try and cut back on the inside. He's back in 3rd place. This will be enough to put the Australians back in front. Water coming out as they splash down that back straight. But Ron Sullivan is being very, very careful. Mark Laram will have work to do there. At the moment, Mark Laram trying to come through. The German in 2nd place at the moment is Robert Barth. Appropriate under these conditions with that name.
Absolutely, but Barth's not doing us any favours at all. We desperately need him to get out of the way. Loram needs to get past Robert Barth if he can. Sullivan's flown the nest. He's out front. He's doing his job, and at the moment, Mark's really trying desperately. Oh!
I wonder if Britain's hopes have tumbled out with that, and I just wonder, with Mark Laram on the track, the referee stopping that. Conditions
that is a
appalling.
desperate crash there. That's a desperate crash. He's hit the fence halfway down the straight. He collided with Robert Barth as he came out of that 4th corner. And I must say that really did look a very nasty accident. He went headfirst into the fence, and I really do hope and wish that Mark Loram is okay.
Well, that would be tragedy for Britain. No reserves are allowed in these conditions. Mark Laram has been excluded by our referee, which will put the Australians well in contention here. The first aid staff, the paramedics out on the track, but it was, as Kelvin said, an horrific crash for Mark Laram, who's been excluded by our referee, Mick Bates, and really we hope that Mark's all right. He's done so well tonight.
He's ridden so well this evening, and Robert Barth was really covering that inside line and was slowing the race down, and Mark seemed to be generating that little bit of extra speed as I came off that 4th corner. His front wheel clipped the back wheel of Robert Barth, and that sort of launched him over the high side, and he rushed in head first, it appeared to me, into the safety fence halfway down the straight. And it was just before the starting gate, and I really do hope that he hasn't done a serious injury, but it did look a very nasty incident indeed, and certainly conditions were part and parcel of that accident, I do believe.
Well, we've got a problem here. We've got people looking up at the box. Jason Crump's looking up there. Graham Reeve is wanting the meeting called off, I think, who's the clerk of the course here, but the blue exclusion light is on. And certainly Mark Laram getting lots of attention there. That's Norrie Allen, his manager, down there with him with the first aid staff. And certainly the British team all showing a lot of concern for Mark Laram, who's been their inspiration here tonight. The man there is Lee Richardson looking at this. Gary Havelock's there as well. The entire British team, Kelvin, concerned,
absolutely,
aren't they?
Fantastic unity, and they've performed brilliantly tonight under such terrible conditions. And I really do sincerely hope that Mark Loram is not seriously injured, because all the guys have done such a wonderful job in these testing conditions. It is look at that bite there, how twisted. That just shows you the speed and the impact there as he rushed into the fence. He hit there at absolute full speed, no opportunity to slide the bike and to scrub some of the speed off. He just went in full speed, and no air fence here this evening, of course, and he rushed into the fence. And I do well, at the moment he's still being attended on the track.
Well, of course, in situations like this, points don't really matter. The Australians will now go in front, but our concern, all of us, should be for Mark Laram after that horrendous crash there, just going into the final lap.
I would suggest that he's probably been knocked unconscious, and I would think initially the first concern is for him to be, you know, and to be able to get back his full conscious, and they're going to try and make sure that there's no problems. And I would think also the back is going to be of crucial importance here, not to move him too quickly.
Yes, Mark Laram, we understand from trackside, is awake and conscious, but certainly far from comfortable. There we see Mark Laram. That's great news, and certainly they're tough, these speedway riders. Now, more so
that is fantastic, Tony. That is fantastic. He's got a smile on his face. Somebody's cracked a joke, but what's great, he's talking, he's up. And I think that man there is an extraordinarily lucky man, because that incident there really was very dramatic. And these times in Speedway just shows you how brave these boys are.
We can look at it again. It doesn't make nice viewing, I can assure you.
Here we see from the behind, Robert Bart doesn't do anything wrong, but Mark's desperately trying to weigh. He knows how important. There we see the front wheel. Any moment will clip the back. There, the two tyres off the high side. No chance. He's off the side of the bike, and he goes in head first here. Bang! Into the fence. That really is a horrific accident. And look how tough this man is. He's not being carried off the track. He's actually walking off the track, Tony. And I will applaud him as well. That is really terrific to see.
Kelvin, he's got protection around his neck. It really is an horrific injury, but I just wonder how great the temptation will be now to continue with the meeting, because the other riders will be majorly concerned about that, I'm sure, Kelvin. If you were riding, I don't think you'd want to carry on, would you?
Well, the thing is, the questions have got to be asked. I know that we're just within touching distance of the meeting being called a result, but, you know, there comes a point in any meeting where the conditions are going to be too bad. And I think that... you know, I've just heard actually, Tony, that it's just a bruised neck, and that is great news indeed, because that could have been, that just can't, that could have been so much more serious at the speed of the impact. There we see him walking back. He's obviously going to feel like a herd of elephants have run over him, but he's up and about. Here we see it again. Robert Bart just pulls a little bit of a locker. He's trying to defend that second place. Mark's desperately looking for, there we see the front wheel touch his back wheel, throws him off the high side. He's tucked in behind the bike, and he slides in headfirst into the fence. The bike catches up in the wire mesh, and from going at about 80 miles an hour, he drags him down to nothing.
Kelvin, I saw him hit actually the pillar of the starting gate, I think, as he came off, and he tumbled against the fence. I think we can see it here. I think he collided straight with that pillar.
Oh, he certainly does, and that's why I just cannot believe that the man's got up. And he's very, very lucky man.
Jonathan Green is in the pits.
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm obviously right by where you're watching, which is obviously Mark Laram, and just getting checked over at the moment. Obviously, if there is a moment, I'll try and get in there and just see how he is. But as you can see, all the riders, including the Australians, are very concerned about how his condition is. Todd Wiltshire's over here, Jason Crump's over here. And obviously, I think all the riders know just how dangerous it is out there at the moment. I think they all want a result, like everybody. It's very close, it's very tense at the moment. And I think decisions are going to be made fairly soon as to whether we carry on, because the weather itself is actually getting worse. But let's hope we do get in and we do continue with this. But as you can see, the riders are having a discussion now, Todd Wiltshire, Jason Crump, and obviously Mark Laram at the moment, as they look over the wreckage of his bike. But this conversation, very important for the meeting tonight. But back to you, Kelvin and Tony, in terms of what you can see at the moment.
Well, we see Mark Laram there, Kelvin. I know you've been in the position, you've suffered a horrendous crash. How much does it shake you up?
The shock value, you can't underestimate that, Tony, because the shock can start hitting you sort of even half an hour later. And you know, at the moment he's in a bit of a daze. He doesn't quite know what's happened, and I'm sure that some of the boys in the studio have got some ideas of what should be happening now.
I'm sure they have. Two men that have been injured recently are Sam Ermolenko and Chris Lewis. Should the meeting continue, lads?
You go first, Chris.
Well, as we can see what's going on there with Mark Laram, I have to say that was a big accident, Chris. You've been debating here with Sam all the way through the rain that's been with us now. What, since heat 11 it came back, so we've had sort of 8 heats of rain. Should this have been rained off?
I think the track has been okay up until this point, but now you know, it's raining heavier. We've had a delay, so now the track is getting very bad, and they've got to seriously look at it. You know, it's going to come down to the guys and what they think that it's their safety that's at stake.
Okay, well, I can tell you right now, as we saw Todd Wiltshire and Jason Crump talking with Mark Laram down there in pit lane, that's a great situation from a sportsman point of view. You can see Gary Havelock there, the team captain, Great Britain captain, with Mark Laram as well. Mark Laram seems to be perfectly okay, but the point I want to make is that Jason Crump is now with Jonathan Green, and maybe he has a view regarding whether this meeting should be called off or not, considering that Australia are right in with a chance of taking this if it just goes a couple more races, Jonathan.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Obviously, I'm here with Jason Crump, and it is a tense moment. You had a quick word with yourself. I kept out of the way, obviously. This is a rider's thing. What did you say to him?
I'm just glad that he got up, you know. I've known Mark a long while, and you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who it is. You never like to see people get hurt, and I feared for him for a minute until he got up, and I'm just really pleased he got up.
It does beg the question whether we can carry on. It's still pouring with rain. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know, as a rider, you worry about safety, and sometimes you actually wonder what actually has to happen for a meeting to get rained off. And you know, it's absolutely pouring down with rain. We've had rain on and off all day. The guys at Sheffield have done their best with the track, but sometimes you've just got to put your hands up and say, you know, enough rain's enough. And you know, we've had a lucky escape basically with Mark. You know, it was a horror crash, and he's got up, and my opinion is let's knock it on the head. But you know, I'm only a rider. I don't make decisions like that.
All right, cheers. Thanks very much, Jason Krupp. Obviously, as you can hear there, Jason just basically, you know, wondering about whether they should make it to 20 or not. We'll soon find out, but obviously a lot of concern amongst the riders down here at the moment. Back to you, Keith.
I've got to say, Jono, that it's remarkable there that Jason Crump himself, even though that Team Australia could go to the final with this particular accident, the fact that Mark is now excluded from the race if it was to continue, I think that's a remarkable sporting decision there from Jason Crump to say that, in his view, it should be called off. So there we go. Sam, okay. What do you think about Jason's comments there? I mean, he thinks it should be called off now. It's still raining while we're waiting for the fence to be fixed and everything to get itself sorted out.
Well, I think Jason's very fair about, you know, he's not really the one that makes the final decision. What you got to look at is the level of the racing and what's actually on the line here. Both England and Australia have a chance of sewing this thing up right now. And nobody's going to give up that easy. So everybody's kind of focused on the fact that, well, we got to deal now with bad conditions. You know, how far do we push ourselves to make this result stand for our team, for our country? What do we got to do?
But you've got to say, with the exclusion of Mark Laram, Chris Louis, that England basically have lost this because it will be a situation. Oh, we can go straight now to Jonathan Green because Mark Laram is there. So excuse me, Chris Louis, while we go back to Jono in pit lane.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Obviously, we want to give you a little bit of time, but that was a big Sean. How are you?
Yeah, well, relatively good, really. Smashed, you know, took a fair bang on my head, and at first I was worried because the top of my neck was sore, but I'm just happy to be up and about. As you know, I mean, I was trying, and it's so dark and wet out there now. I just went to switch lines, and just clipped his back wheel right in the wrong minute there, and that's the last I remember of it, really. But considering I'm good, you know.
The doctors had a look at you, and basically he said there's no concussion or at the moment, no problems for you to carry on.
No, that's right. No, I don't know if I'll be carrying on in this meeting, but certainly the most important thing now is if we got Thursday to get ready for that.
Do you think they'll believe? Do you think they'll actually continue this meet under the circumstances with the rain?
The trouble is the rules haven't been thought about very well, and it has to be 20 races to be a result. So I mean, really, I think that should have been after each rider had 3 rides. You know, it's getting bad now. Like any sport, it's dangerous enough, but now we're having real trouble seeing out there, as you can see. So. But I'm just happy to have got up from that one.
Listen, thanks very much. You did push hard for us. Thanks a lot. Well done. And we'll let you rest now. Mark Laram obviously pushing really hard for Great Britain, but it's still very uncertain as to what will happen down here because obviously it's still pouring with rain and we haven't had a result yet. Back to you.
Well, it might be uncertain where you are, Jono, but the conclusive evidence from up here looking into Mark Laram's eyes is that he should go and see a doctor, shouldn't he? He's had a fair old bang on the bonds.
I mean, you know, he says that he smacked his head and he was a little bit unconscious there, and the fact that he hurt, the way he did it, you know, the doctor can't make an examination right then and there and say that he's going to be okay. Definitely should go have an x-ray at least just to make sure he's okay.
Chris, you're an expert when it comes to a head injury. That's got to be sensible.
Thanks very much.
That's okay.
Yeah, you know, Mark's got to be sensible here, and I'm sure the doctor will rule him out anyway. You know, that's it was a serious crash he had and a big bang on the head, I'm sure. So, you know, I think common sense will prevail, rule him out of this one, but...
No reserve allowed either in these circumstances, but he's excluded from the race anyway. So this race will basically, providing Crumpy goes out and does what, goes out and does what he's supposed to do, Sullivan, in this particular instance. Australia are going to be in front anyway and are going to win the meeting anyway, even if they do stop it at 20.
Yeah.
It must be very tempting to try and make it to 20.
Yeah, I'm sure the organisers.
I'll tell you what, I've just been told, Chris, if I can come across you there, we have just been put on 2 minutes for Heat 19. So we are going to the 20.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. You know, it's going to be tough for the British guys now. You know, they really had their sort of guts ripped out Heat 17 with that Joker, and now with the weather turning bad on them too, it's going to be tough.
I think you almost got to think that England's going to lay down and say, okay, maybe it wasn't our luck at the end, and Australians are just going to run through the motions right now.
I think it is going to be a case of running through the motions. You can see there the fence being repaired after Mark Laram's bike ripped it to bits, but just look at the mud on it there. Well, I can tell you also that we've just heard from pit lane that all the Australians are on their second bikes apart from Todd Wiltshire at the moment. So everybody's running their second bike. So they're getting through the machinery here as well at the minute, it would seem. Look at the rain.
Yeah. I mean, they're all caliber enough to go around this racetrack and make it. You know, if they make a start right now is the important thing. Get out in front, and they can all do that. Hold the 4 laps on these conditions. It's only when they get a little bit desperate and they get close that they're going to have problems.
Those conditions, though, I mean, to recap the situation with Marc Laurent was that really the guy in front just hooked up just a fraction, didn't he? And I mean, Marc Laurent, no brakes on these bikes, no chance to react in that short period of time. The weather conditions
to change lines, so he was trying to keep this momentum of his bike going forward as much as possible. At the same time, he wanted to switch to the outside, and as he did, he just clipped the back wheel. I mean, that's just...
Well, I've just heard the 2-minute warning go on and the lights are flashing. I do believe that we're going to go ahead with Heat 20 here. Sean Wilson still could do something a bit special here. If he can hit the front and Wiltshire gets caught up in traffic, you know, this could go down to the wire, Tony.
Looks as if we've got a German joker here coming out. I'm not quite sure who's taking the ride, but I don't think anybody wants it.
Robbie Kessler's coming out, Tony. I looked at his leathers there. It's Robbie Kessler. I don't quite know what that's all about. Maybe they just fancy playing it. And not really going to benefit them in any way, but certainly the important part of this race is the 2 inside starts, Sean Wilson and Todd Wiltshire. Can Sean Wilson do something spectacular from the inside?
Well, Robbie Kessler, the German joker. Sean Wilson goes in blue from the inside. The man he's got to beat by 2 places would be Todd Wiltshire. Now, were he to do that, we could have a ride-off even after Heat 20, so it's going to be chaos here if that happens.
Well, I don't know if it'll be total chaos. I'm sure that there'll be someone they'll toss a coin or they'll do something to decide a result. But we've got so far that certainly the pressure's on the England rider here, and England have done a great job. Great Britain rather done a great job tonight to put Australia under so much pressure.
Well, the Australians needed the joker to do it, and they pulled it when it mattered through Ryan Sullivan. There are the British riders having a look. That's Gary Havelock, the team captain, looking on at the action in the pouring rain. Sean Wilson, a key man on the inside, but Wilson holds off Todd Wiltshire, and Wiltshire's going wide. Sean Wilson comes through. Wiltshire's in 3rd place, but Wiltshire goes through into 2nd place, and now the battle is joined at the front. Todd Wiltshire will need to stay on. Sean Wilson on his home track is in the lead, and Todd Wiltshire almost comes off there as he lifts. Around they go, the man in blue, that is Sean Wilson. In red, in 2nd place is Todd Wiltshire. The German Kessler going with double points, but look at the battle out front.
Oh, fantastic first lap from Sean Wilson. Oh, down goes Robbie Kessler. Wiltshire, I can't believe Wilshire's putting so much pressure onto Sean Wilson. He only has to stay there, they're through. But the red light's on.
Well, the referee
has to do it all again, Tony.
The referee has to stop that one. I wonder how big the temptation will be to call it off. But Sean Wilson was getting so near to producing just what the Brits wanted. But look at the German there, Robbie Kessler. He despairs of the situation, Robbie Kessler. He has been excluded. Todd Wiltshire now needs, in the rerun, to get a 3rd place to ensure a draw if Sean Wilson wins it.
I can't believe that he was putting Sean Wilson under so much pressure, because the 2 points was going to be enough for him to go through, and he was sort of like trying inside, outside, and to be quite honest, he only had to sit there and finish 2nd, and Australia were through. And here we see there's Sean Wilson. There we see Robbie Kessler disappearing out of shot, just back in there. There's aquaplaning across the track. Just gets off in time and bumps up against the fence. Unfortunately, not too much harm done, but certainly there Sean Wilson kept Great Britain's end up. He got away off the inside here. Wiltshire any minute now lifts again and gets completely out of control and does very well to actually stay part of the bike. Robbie Kessler here makes a good move around the inside, and just for a moment I did believe that Wiltshire was going to be squeezed, but he is now actually in 3rd place, but he squares the corner off. Kessler's now just drifting in the middle of the track. Wiltshire gets up the inside, back into that all-important 2nd place for the Aussies. Those 2 points are vital to make sure that they win it here. And Sean Wilson out in front, and up until the race was stopped, really did look like he had the race sewn up.
Well, we've had appalling conditions, we've got drama, we could still have a tie between Britain and Australia if things map out the way they could do in this final race. The rain continues to pour down, though.
Yeah, it does. We need some of that water to get in the electrics of Todd Wiltshire's bike. We desperately need something to happen there. But it is an incredible meeting, isn't it? It really has sort of like gone way one and the other. I must congratulate the Australian team manager, Neil Street on pulling that joker at the right time. He did play it just perfectly, got the Aussies back in the match and put a lot of pressure on the Great Britain team.
Well, we all believe that Ryan Sullivan, one of the best riders in the world, would be the key to it. The fence is clear. I think all the track staff will be delighted to get in the dry after this race, but Robbie Kessler's been excluded. There'll be just 3 riders.
What date is it? What date is it, Tony? Is it? I can't believe it. Is it August or is it December?
I don't know,
the torrential rain we've had here this evening, it just isn't giving in. I think they've had about a year's worth of rain this week in Yorkshire.
Yes, it has, and I'm glad I live in the south. I don't know what rain we're going to get on the way home, Kelvin.
No, but fantastic loyalty from the France. They've stuck it out there all down the back straight there. They've been drenched for the last 3/4 of an hour, or an hour even more. And terrific support here this evening. Great atmosphere all night, and certainly the Owlerton Stadium have done us proud. They've done a superb job of putting on this first round of the World Cup.
Those girls keeping a smile on their face. We're in the warm of the restaurant, but all we want now is 3 riders to get home safely. Then everybody can go home safely, and the World Cup will march on. Remember, tomorrow night at Poole, Tuesday night at Eastbourne, back at Peterborough on Thursday for the race-off for the big final. Well, that's next Saturday at Peterborough. All, of course, weather permitting. But Kelvin, if you race under these conditions, you race anywhere.
Well, yeah, you know, this is just incredible. I do believe that anywhere else, if we'd been on a smaller track, Tony, we wouldn't have been able to continue racing. We've been very fortunate where this big D-shaped track has allowed the riders to keep the bikes flowing around the corners. If we'd been down at Eastbourne with the tighter bends, I do believe that we would have had to have called to a halt to proceedings earlier.
Well, we're ready for Heat 20, which under any language will surely be the last race here tonight. The track, as you see, it's wet, it's skiddy, but what a picture here. And the fans, not one has moved away despite the weather conditions. And the far terrace is wide open. Gary Havelock is looking open-mouthed at what's been going on here tonight.
Yeah, and there's been plenty going on, and he's been part and parcel of it. He's ridden superbly well this evening.
Back to the restart of Heat 20. On the inside in blue, that's Sean Wilson. The man with the red helmet colour is Todd Wiltshire, the Australian.
On the outside there, Casper.
Yes, Kessler excluded, of course. Tony Casper on the outside. But remember, the Australians need to just finish and get 1 point to have a share of the spoils. But if Wilson wins it and Wiltshire were third, we could face a ride-off. Nobody wants that. Away goes our starting marshal. Wilson gets the start he wanted, cheered on by the local fans. Wiltshire doesn't need to take any risk, surely. He doesn't need to at all. The man at the back pulling up. All Wiltshire has to do is to ride round now. But Sean Wilson will keep Britain in the hunt. They will go to the race-off on Thursday if it stays like this. But anything can still happen. 1 lap gone.
Yeah, very good start again from Sean Wilson. Did his part, but Todd Wiltshire got away. Tony Casper doesn't really look that interested. The only hope for us now is if Todd Wiltshire's bike fails on the last 2 laps.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen. Half the race is gone. Sean Wilson in front. Todd Wiltshire in second place will be enough to give the Australians victory here tonight, and the holders of the World Cup will be through to Saturday's final. Wiltshire lifts a little bit. Wilson keeps it down. Sean Wilson, the home rider, has a lap and a quarter to go, and Sean Wilson has pulled up a few trees here tonight. Sean Wilson goes into the final lap. Todd Wiltshire tracking him in the red helmet colour there. The rain, the spray is all over the place here.
Wilson's stopping. Wilson's stopping.
Wilson is stopping, and Todd Wiltshire's going to win this. Todd Wiltshire is going to win it in red, and Todd Wiltshire wins all 3. Second place goes to the man in white, and Sean Wilson perhaps got the ignition problems that Kelvin Tatum alongside me was wishing upon Todd Wiltshire. It didn't happen. Britain can't win. Todd Wiltshire has won 4 races out of 4 tonight here and taken the Australians on to 46 points and victory. In the end, the 1 point takes Britain on to 42. And the man who won the meeting for the Australians is their team manager, Neil Street. He's in the pits with Jonathan Green.
Yeah, basically the man of the moment, no question about it. Neil Street, you made the right decision at the right time, and Todd Wiltshire definitely the man of the moment.
Well, sometimes you're lucky and sometimes you're not. It was strangely enough, I was going to put Jason Crump out of the technical as a golden double in that race when he changed bikes. And he said, I spoke to him about it, and he said, no, I don't feel too good. I said, right, we'll save it. Unfortunately, it was, but it's not always good judgment. It's sometimes luck and the way the draw goes.
How tough was it for you when you saw Mark Laram go down? Your grandson grandsons out there, the whole team. You don't want those boys hurt. It's a long World Cup.
Oh, look, who can doubt any of the courage of any of these riders, whatever? And on a night like this, it's just absolutely almost unbelievable to think that blokes will go out there and race at the speed they're going tonight. They were not letting up, and Mark is one of the nicest blokes a lot, and he's thought a lot of by a great many people, and we don't like to see anyone hurt, but we certainly wouldn't like to see Mark hurt.
You must be proud of them. They rode like champions tonight.
Well, I am. I'm very proud of them, especially the way they came back after we didn't start up too good. We were a little bit sluggish in the first instance, but slowly we got back on terms, and they did prove that they are a very good team. But tonight, could have been anyone's match. England put up a wonderful show. Nobody can dispute that. And for Sean Wilson to lose out on that race there coming over the last, it wouldn't have made any difference to the final decision. But what a damn shame, because he's ridden like a champion as well. The whole lot of them. I got nothing but praise for the whole lot.
Thanks very much, Neil Street. Back to you, Tony Millard.
Well, the technical position is that after 20 heats, the meeting can be called off. It hasn't been called off yet, but I wouldn't bet my house on that. The position from that heat, Todd Wiltshire 3 points, Tony Casper 2, Sean Wilson just finishing with 1. It means that the aggregate with 20 heats gone, as you see on your screen, takes Australia to 46, Great Britain 42, the Czech Republic 28, and the Germans 9. On paper, there are 4 heats to go. I somehow don't think they race them. Australia will march on to Peterborough on Saturday for the final. Britain will race in the race-off at Peterborough on Thursday. The lads in our studio, it's been quite a night.
Thank you, Tony. While we still wait for the official confirmation that it has been called off, for sure it will be called off. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Here's a little sum for you. I've been sitting here while Tony's been going on. I'm surprised he didn't cross it, because you know how astute he is when it comes to that. If we didn't have the tactical substitute situation and the fact that they could play their joker, even with Mark Laram laying on the floor, it would be a situation where we would be equal at this moment in time. They would be equal on 43 points with Australia and equal as far as Team Great Britain was concerned.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say that it seems unfair that you should be able to give the world champions not just a substitute point of view, but also a joker that they can play when Team GB wasn't allowed to do anything because they led the meeting from the start.
Yeah, I mean, those tactics were put into this competition
to make it good
for that reason, and they worked, you know. I mean, you've got to take your hats off to Neil Street. I mean, fantastic move, done it just the right time, saved it to the last minute, killed Great Britain off, you know. But I think the weather played a big part. I feel sorry for the lads, I really do. They were doing everything perfectly.
It's been a very good night for Great Britain. I mean, I've been making a list of the heats that I thought were fantastic, and I've got a sheet full here at the moment. I mean, I have to say, Joe Screen riding out of his socks, Mark Laram brave as ever, but I think Screeny has been a revelation tonight. I mean, he obviously got on very well. He did say that the conditions suited him to some extent. Yeah,
and Lee Richardson as well, we can't forget him, you know. I mean, all the guys done their bit. Sean Wilson was tactically telling the lads what to do, and it was working out for them perfectly.
Well, I can tell you at the moment that 3 teams want this rained off right now, but the Czechs, because of the third-place point situation, they will go into where they won't have a great third-place point score, which means that they don't stand a chance of going through to the shootout on Thursday in Peterborough. So the Czechs feel they're at a disappointing meeting tonight. If it doesn't go the full 24 heats tonight, it means they've got absolutely no chance of being
silly
the top.
Thinking the track's just too bad.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, they should just knock it on the head for sure.
But you'd argue it, wouldn't you? Let's go down to Jonathan. I can tell you right now, Jonathan is in pit lane. Jono.
Yeah, I've got Ollie Olsen here with me. Ollie, obviously you were in discussion there. Tell me what was being discussed and what the decision is.
Well, it's getting pretty heavy out there, and with this rain, I think the boys have done tremendously, and it is getting very, very greasy. So fortunately, the regulation states that after heat 20, if the heats cannot be run, the last 5 heats, that will be a decision, or 4 heats. So, you know, we're calling it a day, and we'll then declare Australia the winner and Britain second and the Czech Republic third.
I'm presuming that the Czech Republic want to continue because they want to get as good a score as they can.
That's right, but we'll have to look at that, because that may be something that we'll have to look at when the other 3 scores are in, the other 2, and then maybe we will take from heat 20 for all the other 2 events as well, to get a fair go for the Czechs. But, I mean, that's something the jury will have to decide. But I think everybody's done a fantastic here, and it's been such a shame that, but the weather, you know, seems like Speedway. Sometimes we have to have that.
We've had a summer of this in the Elite League.
I know, yes, it's brilliant. So, but anyway, it's been good, and fortunately we had no accidents, so very good.
Thanks, Ollie. Well, as you heard there, guys, obviously the decision made there. They're going to do the presentations in a minute. I don't know why, but in this weather. But anyway, as you heard there, the Czechs definitely got a bit of a humbrage, and they may actually have a chance to get a recall on that. So back to you.
I certainly hope Jonathan's waterproof at the moment. There it is then. It's been called a meeting. Australia on 46 points, Great Britain on 42. Good decision by the sound that they're going to have to force it through the jury meeting, of course, for the Czech Republic on 28 points at this moment in time. But it looks like third-place men might be taken from Heat 20 in the subsequent races tomorrow and from Eastbourne on Tuesday. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Germany on just 9 points. And they were, of course, the last qualifiers for this at the moment. Well, we've got plenty to talk about, and we will in just a couple of minutes. We'll take a short break.
With 60 live games from all 3 divisions, the Football League is back. Sky Sports.
That was worth waiting for. Yes, it's in. Oh my word! Cracking strike.
Walsall v Ipswich and Bradford v Wolves next Saturday and Sunday. Sky Sports.
Zoom, zoom, zoom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah, zoom, 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 zoom.
The all-new Mazda 6 feels so much like a sports car. You might forget it's also a family car.
The Lynx Trials. 1964. Too strong. Not half.
1973, man. Wore off. Weird. 1985. Side effects.
2002. Cracked it. New Formula Lynx. Last 24 hours.
Welcome back to Sheffield, where it has been declared a race meeting at 20 heats tonight, and Australia have been declared the winners, and you can see why on your screens. Absolutely flooded. It's been raining here for over an hour now. We had a big storm earlier on before the race meeting got underway. That already damped the track right down. And as you can see, well, no more racing. Now then, Neil Middleditch is team manager for Team Great Britain. He must be proud of the boys, and he's with a very wet Jonathan Green.
We're just, yeah. No, everything's fine down here, but we are soaked, absolutely. You guys must be feeling bitterly disappointed. This was such a good meet for you. Everything was going right. You guys rode out heroes. The fans were loving it.
Yeah, I know.
And it didn't come to be.
No, it was a tremendous effort. I mean, you know, the weather's against us, but as I say, they did me proud. I mean, that Joker killed us, you know, really. I think, unfortunately, Mark, I mean, my main concern is that Mark's going to be okay for the race off, because he's took a nasty knock and his neck's a bit sore, but, you know, he said he's okay, so hopefully he'll be okay. But no, you know, I'm obviously upset again, but as I say, it was a tremendous meeting, and we had it in our hand and we let it slip.
Did you feel as though there was the need to do that Joker for Australia when they did it?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, they couldn't afford to let us get any further ahead, and it paid off.
Do you believe there should be a Joker in this kind of competition?
But if I was playing the Joker, yeah, I would say yeah. But I mean, it is hard because it's 6 points. And you can get it back very, very quickly. And it's the same. I mean, if I was in that situation, I'd have done exactly the same as Neil Street did.
The one thing that I can take away from this was that, you know, you've been saying in the press and everybody's been trying to hype this up, saying we want the fans to come out there, we want everybody to ride as well as they did. Your guys did exactly what they should do. Roll on Thursday, because if they ride like that, we're all the way through.
Oh, no, it's fantastic. I mean, the crowd. I mean, like I've said before in the press, the crowd are fantastic. Tonight we went out there and they brought the roof down for us, and that's what we want. Get them up at Peterborough, get behind us.
Especially good news for Lee Richardson, rode like a hero.
They all did. They all rode like heroes. I'm very proud of all of them. And as I say, you know, we'll get to the final. We'll be there.
All right, so we'll see you Thursday, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that's what we wanted to hear. Britain still on a high at the moment, even though they're soaked and unfortunately didn't beat Australia. But back to you, Keith.
Well, I think it was a result if you'd have been given them that chance. Oh, and we've got the Australian national anthem for the Australians now. Well, even the rain here in Sheffield can't dampen the enthusiasm of the Australians. They're still here celebrating with their winning team tonight. They go straight through to the final at Peterborough in Saturday. But what I was about to say before the Australian national anthem came up, I think if the Team Great Britain had been given the opportunity to take the points that they'd had prior to this race meeting, they'd have said, thank you very much, we'll have some of that. Todd Wiltshire then, getting the bumps. In fact, that looks... he's obviously soaking wet and a bit heavy. He finds himself being rolled around in the green. So the Australians, then, they've got no work to do now. They don't have to go to the race-off on Thursday. Of course, that means they can be well rested, have plenty of time to tinker with their machinery before the final on Saturday. Whereas Team Great Britain, of course, have to go through the race-off on Thursday at Peterborough. And we can expect some great racing just there. So, as team photographs are taken on the central green here, I have no idea what they're going to come out like considering the weather conditions on the green, because our cameras make it look a lot neater than it does. Of course, we're at Poole tomorrow live. We'll be talking about that in just a moment. But first, we'll take a break. We'll be back here in the studio in just a minute.
Some celebrities are perfect, but they're not the ones we're interested in.
They won't let me on tomorrow.
Jaw-dropping footage that we're not afraid to use.
I think they have to take responsibility for what they've done.
We'll stop showing it when they stop doing it.
Oh, okay.
He just grabbed me and sunk his teeth into me top of my head.
Chris found out for definite that she isn't a natural blonde.
This week...
They can't prove anything.
Celebrities behaving badly. Wednesday, 10 o'clock, Sky One.
It's all part of the game.
In this year's German TÜV reliability report, it took over 29 million tests on more than 1.5 million cars, using thousands of technicians at hundreds of test stations for nearly a year to find out what we already knew. Who builds the most reliable car? Ford, designed for living, engineered to last.
You've just renewed your car insurance. But did you really get a great deal? Did you ask the AA for a quote, for example? After all, the AA promised to find you the cheapest possible quote they can from one of their panel of recommended insurers. Call 0800 444 777 for a great deal from the AA, Britain's biggest car insurance broker. Just ask.
Welcome back to Sheffield. Well, Jonathan Green is down in pit lane with Todd Wiltshire. And I wonder, Jono, whether it's... we've been talking here in the studio regarding the point situation and whether Neil Middleditch would have done well to put the brakes on Team Great Britain so Australia never had that 6-point gap so that they could come out with their joker and their tactical substitution. What does Todd think?
Yeah, it's a good point. We're just talking in the studio. Sam was saying and Keith was saying that, you know, obviously the tactical substitution that you did make, the joker that you played at the right time was perfect for you, but you wonder whether Britain perhaps might have tried to keep it a little bit closer so they didn't give you that opportunity.
It's always hard to, you know, to even think about doing that for Great Britain, you know, to try and keep the points a little closer rather than run away. You always want to run away and get as many points as you can. And, yeah, maybe it worked against Great Britain tonight, you know, as it worked for us and it worked for Poland last year in the final. And, yeah, it's a tough one, you know, to know what to do.
You must be particularly pleased with your performance tonight. You're up against Sean Wilson, the biggest expert on this track, and yet you rode superbly in a maximum.
Yeah, it's extremely pleasing for myself, you know, especially having Sean in each race. Yeah, I definitely have my work cut out for me, but you know, I tried very hard, and I'm proud to do it for the boys. You know, it's you know, I may have struggled to get into the team, not being in the British League now, and you know, not really been knowing these tracks over here in England, especially Sheffield, never been here before. You know, so it's pleasing for myself, but you know, it's a great result for us.
What were the conditions like? You were in that last heat, and obviously it was atrocious. But just describe it to it from your point of view.
It was really basically who got the start. Sean had a great inside position, and you know, he had a good gate there. But all I really could do, honestly, mate, was just follow Sean's back wheel. The line's white and you can't see it in the mist and the goggles, and I pulled a few tear-offs, and I really could not see the centre green. So I was basically just following Sean's lead.
I know it's not the way anybody wanted to finish it, but let's look ahead now. Obviously, you don't have to go to Thursday. Probably you'll keep a watchful eye on it. I know you've been to Peterborough before, but what about Saturday now, your chances? You guys must be on a high for that.
Well, I tell you what we had tonight, and firstly, can I say, from the whole team, our wishes to Mark Laram, you know, tonight. I think what happened to Mark was extremely unlucky. It was definitely the conditions that done that, and a rider like Mark doesn't normally run up the back of somebody like that. So, firstly, you know, wishes to the Great Britain team, and most importantly, we had a huge wake-up call tonight, you know. I think a few of our riders, you know, we're all feeling pretty pumped. The Grand Prix boys are going so well, and I think there might have been a little bit of complacency in the pits tonight, you know, and Great Britain really give us a wake-up call. So, that's to give us a boost, and hopefully we'll take that into the final.
So if Britain do show up on Saturday night, you'll be a little bit more wary.
Oh, my word. I mean, we're going to be wary of all teams. I mean, you've seen how quick Czechoslovakia shot out tonight and, you know, leading. And, yeah, it was a big shock. And maybe this is exactly what Australia needed. You know, and we're looking forward to the final now.
A little bit of rest. What are you guys going to do now? Do you have a lot of work to do between now and Saturday?
Well, we're just saying on the rostrum, a few of the boys are quite happy that we got through for one other reason, that we can all have a bit of a rest now. And it's been a tough season, the GPs every second weekend. And we're all looking forward to really just having a couple of days off and some time with our families.
Well, I would have thought you were probably going to do some jet skiing competitions now after what we saw tonight. I mean, that was looking like jet skiing tonight.
Yeah, it certainly was. It certainly felt like it, I must admit. But no, we'll enjoy this week and come in strong for the final.
Well, I'll tell you what, from a guy from Aussie, you do pretty good in the English summer. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well done to Todd Wiltshire and the rest of the Australian team. And as you see, they are going to get a little bit of rest, and I think well-deserved. They battled hard tonight. Back to you, Keith.
Thanks very much, Jono. Getting back to that, not contentious, but certainly something to talk about situation. I mean, at one point, good point that Todd Wiltshire made regarding the fact that it's very hard to hold a team back. I mean, at one point, we were 8 points in the lead and building on our lead in Team Great Britain. So Middelow really didn't have much choice other than to let his boys have the head to get away at the front. At one point tonight, it definitely looked like we had the beating of the Australians fair and square, whatever, including tactics, they threw at us.
I just think that it's very difficult to see it. It's easy to say it after the fact that it's over with now in the rain. But with the rain coming, possibly anticipating that it could be called off at Heat 20, they had a little bit of time to think about doing some tactics and maybe slowing down. I mean, in this race right here,
well, this was the one. I mean, this is the one. Sullivan still had to win it. It's all very well having the joker and the tactical substitution over Jason Lyons, but he still had to go out and win it for Australia.
Yeah. Well,
6 points coming his way, though.
Yeah, but it's very important for him to win it. Whenever you throw in a rider replacement, a tactical move, throw the joker in at the same time, I mean, that the responsibility was lying on his shoulders to go out there and perform for Australia, and he did that. The fact of it is that the rain never let up and the sky is really darkened. And if you're clever, I'm not saying that everybody thinks about it. It's easy to say it after the fact. But if Neil Middleditch could kind of predict that maybe the rain was going to get worse, he might have been able to tighten it up, possibly, to keep it.
Lee Richardson rode a good ride here. He rode a great meeting as well, didn't he, Chris? But really, when Sullivan's in this kind of form, there's no way you're going to catch him.
Yeah, when he's out, you know, Lee done a fantastic job all night, and going back to Neil Middleditch's opportunity maybe to pull the boys back, I think with all the riders in Team Great Britain going so well, he really wanted to give them the reins, let them go and build some confidence, I think.
Yeah.
Well, of course, we can't blame the Australians for using the rules. That's exactly what they're there for. So it's part of the sporting code for this particular World Cup meeting. And I seem to remember somewhere along the lines, didn't you use a joker?
We did.
Yeah,
and,
I thought as much.
We did in Wrocław, definitely.
And it worked for you.
And it did pay off. It did. So it put us back into the competition. And it was unfortunate that we probably would have won that if it wasn't for me coming off dramatically as I did. But we were up for winning it. And it all came down to because of the joker. Our team manager played at the right time.
Just as an opinion, you think it's a good thing, the pair of you, to have a joker and a substitution under those situations? I mean, can I ask you that?
Yeah, I mean, it's true tonight that it does the job it's there to do. It can pull a team right back into it. Unfortunately for Team Great Britain, it worked right against us. But it did do a good job. Neil used it bang on the right time, and I think it's a good thing.
Of course, it wouldn't have mattered in the end if we'd been in a situation where Mark Laram hadn't had that horrendous crash and found himself injured and excluded from that. We got no points from that, and if it hadn't been for this particular situation, we could have still been going straight through to the final on Saturday night. I tell you what, I still don't know how he got away with it.
I think you know, it was vision that played a big part there. You know, he's very close to his back wheel, and he's got the rain coming on his goggles. He's probably misting up as well, and you know, if you look how much gap there was, he only clipped his wheel by about ½ an inch, and that's got to come down to vision, I think.
Yeah, and everything's the same color too, so he's sitting back thinking, okay, I'm going to go, whoa, oh, sorry, you know, bam, he's on the ground.
A real awkward crash too.
Well, it just caught the gate post just there, right where the traps go up. I mean, it's unbelievable. The damage it did to the bike, I mean, it nearly ripped the engine out of the frame.
Yeah, it was pretty hard impact. The bike, he was really lucky that the guy in last place had enough vision to see him, because he kind of drifted right back into the race line, and as he did that, a bike went by, and, you know, it could have been even worse than it was.
Mark Laram, not only has he got a headache, but he's also got a bill there to fix that motorcycle. It's going to cost a few quid to sort that out. Now then, let's look on a positive note. We're through to the race-off. Australia are through to the final. At the beginning of this day, we'd have said that's how it should have gone. The Checo team, we thought, might cause us a bit of a problem for second place. They didn't, as it turns out, in the end. But the big plus for me has to be that Team GB rode out of their socks, every single one of them. There were some question marks over form at this particular point as we came on, but every single one of them rode as a great team and really lifted their game.
Definitely, without even Scott Nichols being here. I mean, that was another blow that kind of came at the 11th hour, and they were able to still keep the composure and go out there and perform well. I think it was a great advert for how confident they are to prove that, you know, last year was a bit of a fluke. They were a bit unlucky. And this year it's on their home ground. They got to take advantage of that and go right to the end. And they will do, I think. At Peterborough, I think they'll do well.
Who do you think was the man of the match as far as Great Britain were concerned today, Chris?
Yeah, I don't think you could pick one. They were all doing a fantastic job. They were all knuckling down. You know, conditions weren't great, but they were making good starts, which doesn't always happen. We've got a team of racers, Mark Laram, Joe Screen, they're racers. They don't always make good starts. Everybody made starts. When they didn't, they made brilliant first corners. They were focused, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Staying on a positive note, I think that, you know, they've got a practice at Peterborough now in race conditions with the race-off. I mean, it's a potential minefield out there. It's everybody's last chance to make it. But no, I think they're going to be positive. They're going to take a lot from this meeting, and they're going to have a practice now at Peterborough.
I'll tell you who I think it was.
Carry on.
Lee Richardson.
Thank you very much. Lee Richardson it is there. Now you get your vote at this moment. Well, there are 4 more race meetings, of course, regarding this World Cup. That's, of course, if your doctor gives you dispensation to be able to watch it after tonight. Day 3 will be at Eastbourne on the south coast. Yes, it's still raining here in Sheffield, but nobody really cares anymore because Australia are through to the final race, and that is on Saturday. This is how it shapes up for the rest of the week. Australia then have gone through to the final. Great Britain go through to the race-off. So do possibly the Czech Republic, but that has to be talked about in just a moment here in the studio. Germany are out of it. They're on their way home. Tomorrow is in Poole. We'll be live, of course, here on Sky Sports. Sweden, Denmark, Finland and Hungary. Event 3 will be just up the coast a little bit. Poland, the United States, Russia and the other qualifiers for this World Cup meeting, Slovenia. Well, let's talk about tomorrow, shall we? Poole is one of those special kind of races. Sweden, Denmark, Finland and Hungary. And you've got to say, Sweden, with the likes of Tony Rickardsson leading the World Championship as well, really has to be the man in form at the moment. Sweden have a great team, don't they, Chris?
Yeah, they are a strong side. I don't think they're going to have it all their own way. I think the track is going to suit Denmark. You know, these guys are all brought up on the slick sort of tracks, that type of style. So I don't think they've got it all their own way, but they'll definitely start as favourites.
What does Poole, I mean, we've seen what Sheffield presents for the riders here, especially in the rain, but what does Poole present to them? What kind of track will that be for these kind of riders?
Well, I mean, in Sweden and Denmark both, the tracks sometimes can be a little bit slick, and kind of the shapes are very similar to Poole. So I think both sides, especially Denmark, I mean, they're really used to slick tracks. Poole can be a slick track at some times. Hopefully they make it a little bit grippy, but it never really seems to produce a lot of grip like, for instance, this track does if there's a little bit of clay in it. And I think that Denmark will feel very comfortable with making starts on a track like Poole, getting out in front. Same with Sweden. It's going to be a tough competition.
Well, we thought that the Czech Republic could give us a bit of a shock here. It didn't materialise in the end. Who are the people that are going to give us a shock tomorrow?
I don't think there will be any shocks. I think it'll be down to Sweden and Denmark. I don't think Finland has got a strong thing. Hungary, I don't really think so. But how would you know?
How would you know, indeed? And we have the situation where 2 of the third-place teams, the highest 2 of the third-place teams, points-wise, must go through to Thursday's race-off. Now, the Czech Republic are at a disadvantage at this point because we ended it today at 20 races instead of the 24. It looks like they're going to do something where the points are taken from Heat 20 for the rest of the competition.
I think
fair?
that's very, very fair. I think they would have never known that until it happened like it happened today, because it's definitely a fair system. It gives everybody something to go for. And let's face it, when it comes down to the last 4 heats, it comes down to your top scorers and then so. Just canceling it out right at Heat 20 is probably the fairest thing they can do.
How bad is Paul affected by the weather? Is that racetrack like this one, it's going to get very wet?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take the weather particularly good. It's normally prepared fairly slick, although I've got a feeling that for a World Championship event, they're going to put the dirt on. So it's probably not going to take the weather. It's not going to be as easy to race as this place, for sure.
Okay, well, I mean, it's not as easy to race as this place, you reckon?
Oh, if it rains there, it will be called off kind of after a couple of heats if they have any rain on it, for sure.
Okay, gentlemen. Well, it was a sensational night here tonight. Thank you very much for joining us here. It's been a great night having you with us. Of course, you're going to be with us for most of the week, so it should be quite good fun. Let's take a look at where you can watch it here on Sky Sports. Monday, 7 o'clock, World Cup Day 2. That's at Paul, and it's on Sky Sports 2. And then we move up the coast a little bit to Eastbourne for World Cup Day 3. That's on Sky Sports 2 also. The race-off, well, that is on Thursday on Sky Sports 3. Then the World Cup final, 7 o'clock on Saturday, Sky Sports 3. You'd be mad to miss it. My thanks to Sam and Chris, of course, and Jonathan Green in pit lane, and to you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.